Good afternoon, everyone. I, Urvashi Kaul, on behalf of XLRI, would like to once again welcome you to our startup conclave INGENIUM. I'm certain that what we have planned for you will keep you awake during the post-lunch lull that we are induced with. Ingenium, referring to an innate talent in a person, is something that we will find in abundance in the upcoming panel members. Think like a queen. A queen is never afraid to fail. Failure is another stepping stone to greatness. Wise words by Oprah Winfrey. And this panel of ours comprises of women who have shown that if a woman sets up her mind to achieve something, she will go against all odds to achieve it through sheer determination and hard work. In India, 20.37% of women are MSME owners, which accounts for 23.3% of the labor force. They are considered to be the backbone of the economy. According to McKinsey Global, India can potentially add 700 billion US dollars to the global GDP by increasing women's participation in the labor force. Women-led businesses provide a great impetus to the economy. India has about 432 million working age women and 13.5 to 15.7 million women-owned businesses that provide direct employment to 22 to 27 million people. Our panelists today are leaders with diverse industrial backgrounds who have made a significant mark in their respective fields. We at XLRI would like to celebrate the success stories of these heroes together while they walk us through their journey. Let us now get to know them better on what it takes to be an entrepreneur and the social impacts of it. It's an honor for me to introduce all the panelists to you here today. First, we have amongst us Ms. Yashaswini Ramaswamy. Ms. Yashaswini Ramaswamy is the CEO of Great Place to Work India. Great Place to Work is the global authority on workplace culture. In India, the institute partners with more than 1,100 organizations annually across over 22 industries to help them build high-trust, high-performance cultures designed to deliver sustained business results. She's also the founder of Culturalytics Private Limited, which has been developed as the world's first AI platform that defines and measures the culture of an organization. She was the co-founder of K Arogya Advisory Service Private Limited, a health analytics startup. The ecosystem managed by her consisted of 30,000 doctors, 10,000 hospitals, and impacted more than 2 million lives. Ms. Yashaswini is also mentioned in the book Undeterred, The 6 Success Habits of Women in Emerging Economies by Rania Habibi, and as a leading woman entrepreneur herself. We welcome you, ma'am, on the panel. Next, we have amongst us Ms. Basudha Srivastav. Ms. Basudha is the founder and managing director of Amplify Services Private Limited and Express Earth Digital Services Private Limited. Currently, she's running 2 companies as founder and managing director of Express Earth Digital Services and Amplify Services Private Limited. She's created a purpose-driven business model focused on the end customer. Amplify, a new edge and innovative employee lifecycle software management company, and Express Earth is an online travel management company and curated trips for sustainable tourism. A highly energetic serial entrepreneur and loyal professional with over 12 years of versatile experience into IT and telecommunications industry. She is a thirst for knowledge, and this can be seen looking at her career graph. Ms. Udita handled many critical projects to provide service efficiency, accuracy, automation, and provide ease to the workforce. What others consider as a problem, she draws it as an opportunity is what defines Ms. Basudha. We welcome you, ma'am. Next in our panel is Ms. Udita Pal. Udita Pal is the co-founder for SALT, graduated with a degree in Mass Comm in 2017 from University of Jharkhand, Ranchi. She's worked in a product growth, marketing, and brand as an early team member for OpenTalk, TapChef, and Munch. She's also worked over with 35 startups worldwide as a consultant and helped them to scale. In addition, she has an experience as a successful content creator and brand manager, assisting startups with fast and stable growth. We'd like to welcome you, ma'am, on the panel. And the fourth panelist that we have today is Ms. Deepthi Tandon. someone who is enthusiastic when it comes to everything related to digital. Startup veteran, matchmaker since 1999. Founder of jeevansathi.com, she built a successful matrimony portal, first attempt at matchmaking. In 2005, she set up Magic Bricks for the Times Group, matching property owners and seekers. It soon became India's #1 property portal. Now she's working in building coffeemug.ai, a matchmaking business for professional needs. Coffee Mug is an AI super connector matching startups with venture capitalists, connecting professionals for leadership hiring and expert advices. We welcome you, ma'am, on the panel today, and we'd like you to engage with us on this interesting session that we are about to start. Welcome, ma'am. The panel will be moderated by my peer Aprajita Chaudhary on behalf of XLRI. Without further ado, let's get the panelists to share their experiences on entrepreneurship and its social impact.
In a far-flung place in northeastern India, around 65 kilometers away from Myanmar, is a supermarket. A market called Ima Kaithil, or the Mother's Market, is a market run by 4,000 business women. No men are allowed to do business there. It stands out to be one of the largest markets in Asia and probably the only women-led market in the world. From Jacinda Ardern, who leads New Zealand, to Angela Merkel from Germany, we see women in leadership positions has done pretty well during the COVID-19, way better than the other countries. Well, why do we have to go too far? Let us have a look at this wonderful panel that we have right in front of us. From Yashaswini ma'am, who has been the venture founder of an AI-based, world's first AI-based platform, which basically does the organizational cultures measure and relates it to the impact, to that of Deepti ma'am, whose brave initiative is to start coffeemug.ai to give a tough time to all the other super connectors. Apart from that, we have Udita ma'am, whom we just know to be the person who started a neo bank, probably who does cross-cultural, cross-border and cross-cultural transactions. But she has been a writer since the age of 17 and published her first book then. To Vasudha ma'am, who has been awarded as the top 30 entrepreneurs in India by IWIL India in the year 2021. So basically, my dear friends, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of boldness, a lot of resilience to walk in this path of entrepreneurship. Now, seeing from a layman's perspective, from a person who's not taken any entrepreneurial ventures so far, I would like to say that for me, it is like a transformative journey. A journey from rejecting all the scraps of the tested theories to reinventing your own ideas. Overhauled by your ideas, and definitely with a bleak chance of appreciation from any, if you can achieve this, it is simply the manifestation of your own self. While today, I do not want to be a biased person. Male entrepreneurs versus female entrepreneurs, I do not want to bring that ideology on stage today. But why I feel so proud representing this panel today here is because I feel that only a woman can drive another woman. And I am sure that this inspirational women who are seated here today will definitely drive all the ladies in the house today to take up all the crazy ideas under the sky to achieve the dreams that we look out for. So let's not take any further time ahead. And as I've already been introduced to everybody, let the house open to the panel discussion. Well, my first question to my lovely panelists would be that we know that entrepreneurship either comes from a pull force or a push force. So what has been your driving or motivating factor towards embracing this very difficult path of entrepreneurship? I think I would like to start with Udita ma'am.
Uh, I think there has been no push or pull factor at this point. Uh, Everyone who is sitting over here, have you ever been in a position where a problem was super personal to you? It can be as simple as you were wishing that if you could have your favorite restaurant's food at 3 a.m., to as personal as ours, that I wish I could receive my money from an international platform at a much cheaper rate. There is a small part of entrepreneur in all of us. There is no push and pull force. Sometimes it's just you're passionate about the problem enough to bring the change. So that has been one of the biggest factor for us. I got so obsessed with solving the problem for myself, yeah, to the place where when you receive money, like, sorry for making it about my company, but when you're receiving money, you have to pay crazy forex amount, which is double forex, which is money hitting your bank account to PayPal and then hitting it to your bank account. And I started looking for loopholes. How do I save my money? Because for every $100 I'm transacting, I'm losing $7. That's a lot of money to lose in the long run. So I found a very interesting loophole that if I receive my money via Amazon gift cards, I will be getting the entire amount and I will never have to worry about anything. Interestingly, I don't know how tax around it works. It was a long time ago. Please don't send anyone to my house at this point. But that was the loophole I discovered back then. I also realized there are much more legal and tax saving ways of doing the same thing. And that's where the problem started from. That's the thing about entrepreneurs. All of us just want to solve problem. There is a little bit of push and pull factor. It can start from your home. It can start from your workplace. Your product idea that you suggested, nobody accepted it. So you were like, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and make it on my own. It's more about how passionately you want to deal with the problem. And that's how it starts. That's it.
Ma'am, you would like to continue?
Yeah, she rightly said it can be started from any point of a time, be it home or office. So for me, it was an office. So, I was in a team where automation, key was key thing that I was so much involved, like in automation. We have to do automation here, there. So I was just did my Six Sigma that time, and I wanted to automate a lot of things which was out of my capacity at the time because I was part of one of department. I can't be streamlining and automating the departments which I'm not accountable of. So that was a time when I thought that I should start my own venture, probably not in the shape that right now. Started with something else, then we pivoted, and then keep on doing the same thing. So it just started like this. But yes, she rightly said there is no pull or push factor, I would say. But yes, you have to keep on you should be open to your self, that this is something that is making you crazy. You're not able to sleep at night, and this has happened to me a lot of time. And that when I decided that this is thing that I have to do, and I pursued it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having us here, and for the wonderful hospitality that we've received. And from her introduction, if I may also believe that this panel discussion may have something definitely for the ladies, but I'm also hoping something for the men. And, so it's not a woman panel for the women, by the women. And, we're not trying to. Well, I think for me, my first venture started 14 years ago, and it was just by chance. When I look back, I think it was a rather Dilbert's view on workplace culture, because I think for me, I grew so rapidly in the corporate environment that I didn't know what else to do, because I knew that I don't want to be in the corporate environment. So I think for me, entrepreneurship happened by chance, and as a process of elimination of the opportunities that I had in 2008. Now it's become more personal, because with each venture, you fail so much, and then you commit so many mistakes. And then your life is, I think whoever is interested in a spiritual journey should try entrepreneurship. The peaks and the valleys are so high and low that you automatically develop a sense of Zen. That happens. It's a fast track to life. And that's what it was for me. And I always believed that for any economy to be strong, the entrepreneurship community has to be strong. So for me, creating jobs, whether it's 5 or 10 or thousands, that is an impact metric, which is very close to my heart. And that's how I operate. You guys can clap better for all of us. Women and they, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. My journey is not that exciting. I entered the world of entrepreneurship and I didn't know that this word existed. I was just getting very bored, as I mentioned to somebody yesterday, doing Katori Chammach promotions in Horlicks way back in the 90s. And I wondered what I was doing with my life. And I don't think, I had actually walked up to my boss and said, I don't think I can spend my life, doing all these promotions. And he told me, but, bigger decisions are made in the UK. And I said, okay. And I think one day after that, I put in my resignation. And then I thought, because I figured that I think I have a listening problem. I'm not wired to listen to instructions. And I think that was the start of my entrepreneurship journey. And once I had decided what to, that I am going to do something on my own, was the next question, what to do. And had seen Naukri.com take off. And since, someone was doing Naukri, it was as simple as that the next thing is, Shadi. And that's how jeevansathi.com happened. Started literally as a hobby and don't really remember distinctly when, the hobby became passion became actually a thriving business. But I think to me, it is the excitement of setting up something from scratch, doing what you believe in tremendously. And the thrill is when, when you're seeing it touch a very large number of people, whether it's, I love it when, I hear that, okay, I found my partner on Jeevan Sathi, or I found my property on Magic Bricks, or I know that, okay, over, almost every broker in the country is using it. So I think to me, that's the thrill, no real push pull, just a desire to go out there and do something.
Yeah, so my takeaway from here would be that you have to, there should be an inspiration that can be drawn from anything, that can be kindled from anything, our surroundings, the people around us, what we have inside. So I think, yeah, that pretty much answers my first question. Thank you so much. Now going on to the second question that I have is that, as we were discussing, there is definitely when we are talking about women entrepreneurs, we are somewhere biasing ourselves, but we have to admit the fact there is a sample bias that exists, where the sample space for women in the world of entrepreneurship itself is small. That is why it gets picked lesser maybe. So what do you have to say about the fact that when we talk about entrepreneurship, is it an inclusive statement, or is this the sampling biasing that is acting over there, where we find underrepresentation of women as entrepreneurs in our country and as well as across the globe?
Yeah, so sure. So very honestly, Prajita, I'm not totally in sync with that statement. I think it's a state of mind. I have always seen myself as a professional and an entrepreneur, and it stops there, period. The man, woman, or any other gender to me comes later. And if there are fewer women entrepreneurs, that stems really from the fact that fewer women are right now getting to a certain stage, maybe dropping off. and it's a natural progression, but it's nothing inclusive or something which, in fact, we've been discussing this. And that's what I asked you last night, the fact that we're doing a women entrepreneurs panel is actually, we're calling it out, that's to me setting a bias, right? If it was a mixed entrepreneurs panel, or you'd have said, the big entrepreneurs and the small entrepreneurs also make sense to me. But that's fine, right? Big entrepreneurs, the unicorns and the non-unicorns. But to me, when we're doing this discussion, and a man and a woman entrepreneur, we're setting the bias. So I'm not the best person really, I think, in terms of answering this question.
Yeah. You certainly got the men going. They're laughing. So she said that. I'm not going to repeat it. But if you were asking me to look back, I think in my career, and this is probably 3 types of biases that I would have encountered. One is age bias, because I started with consulting fairly young, Gaurav. Fairly young, I started my consulting practice. Now I just wanted to throw the age at you. And it's a gray hair consulting business. So I think for me, it was an age bias because you're sitting there pitching a business model and all of that. I think the second one was gender in terms of funding. So I think I completely agree with her. It really doesn't come to our mind that, because entrepreneurs, see, we're eternal optimists. If you look at our mindset, we don't operate from a limitation mindset, then we'll never be able to start a business. So we're eternal optimists with unlimited opportunities ahead of us, and that's how our mindset is. But I encountered gender bias when I was managing and investing in startups. So I was managing a fund that incubated 46 startups, and that was my portfolio. So when I really had to take those decisions of investing or pulling out or the next tranche, etc., that's where I encountered, some bit of, because they were not used to women handling serious money. And the third is a country bias that I faced, which is when you talk about deep tech, when you talk about future technology, it's the stereotype is Bay Area, US, Berkeley, that kind of a thing. And when you say it's a very Indian grown deep tech company that is fastly becoming global, they're like, okay, so where are you from again? So I think these 3, but an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. I don't think we have a gender to that. Yeah.
She rightly said, an entrepreneur is always an entrepreneur. So, in this journey, I never faced any challenges as a woman, I would say. While working as an employee, I do faced, there are some incident happen wherein being a top performer also, you've been evaluated based on there was some question also floating my mind, once my manager asked me, are you sure that you're not going to have a baby? So that's question is about the uncertainty, why any men not ask these questions. The very simple reason is asked because women have been considered to be the most caring out of the 2 parents, right? So when you have a baby, your attention diverts, right? And that's the something that cares. The manager also cares. You won't be devoting your time, energy to the extent that you right now doing it. Also in terms of the salary hike, and also these problems I do face when I was working as an employee. But when I went to the other side of it, I didn't face any such challenges as of now. Maybe I'm not sure about the future, but it's very the environment, the ecosystem that right now in India is very supportive, and any grant or anything that has been flourished either through a government or through universities, it's I never face it's only for women, it's for entrepreneurs, right? So that's how I see it.
I think I'll approach the question in a very different way, women don't have bias for themselves, but other people have bias for women. Very interestingly, when we were raising funding, I was 24 and someone and my co-founder was 29, and the investor said that what if she gets married? And I'm like, logically speaking, he will get married before me, but you're concerned about when will I get married? Absolutely fine. I think outsiders are more concerned, oh, how will she have a baby? What if she gets married? What if she is purposely flirting with someone to get promotion? The bias comes from the other end. I have never seen a woman complain about her working hours. I've never seen that, oh my God, entrepreneurship is so hard. I have to work 24/7. I was working while I was pregnant. I was working when I was taking care of kids. I have never seen women complain about these things or use it as a card, but I have seen other people say, they will not see the 100 days you're working very hard, but that one day you have to go back home early to take care of something, they will definitely see that. And they will say, oh my God, she's using that card, that she has to go back home. So the bias come from the other way. If you will talk to all the women entrepreneurs, they just call themselves entrepreneurs. We have been put in multiple boxes for a really long time. We don't want to be in there. But if you're going to forcefully put us over there, there is nothing we can do. So there is no bias from our end. We are more than happy to work as hard. Actually, I can't even say as hard as men, as normal entrepreneur. But exactly, that's what business needs. But other people do put us in random boxes that we are nowhere aware of. And you hear it through chit chatter from other people that, oh, that person thought you did this, that person thought you did. And it gets mentally exhausting after a point. You don't even want to correct them. You end up developing skin in the ecosystem. You're like, say whatever you want. I know what I'm doing. And I think that's what all of these women are example of over here. They manage to not put themselves in boxes, and that's why they don't believe in any form of bias, but other people do.
Yes, absolutely. I think a huge round of applause for, setting the entire tone for the panel discussion totally different. But coming as an outsider from not having any connection with the world of entrepreneurship, and for most of us, we are, future entrepreneurs probably or budding. So women, as women, we have got certain mental models that when we are approaching a whole new world, there might be certain constraints. Okay, what if, our male counterpart or our male co-founder gets a little bit of more leverage than we do, or he gets to call the shots and I don't. So these are all mental models I think we naively put in our heads. So I think that is where, coming from women who are leading businesses like this, I think it kind of clears the vision, for the tunnel vision, I would say, for all of us who are thinking of venturing into this unknown territory. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so also in the year 2021, 2020 and 2019, we saw 44 unicorns, 19 unicorns and 11 unicorns getting added in India. Despite of the reigning COVID, the socio-economic impact that COVID-19 actually had over the economy of India, we see that it is raining unicorns. So what is your take on it? What do you think is the driving factor behind encouraging people to drive more into this, very unknown or, dark world of entrepreneurship, where there's so many challenges ahead of us? She's looking at me, so I would rather pass on the mic to her first.
Can I start with a very simple thing? Because there are more success stories of entrepreneurs than failure stories. So we all are driven toward living that dream a bit, which is a good thing. I want everyone to be feeling like they can become something great. They can build product which can kill the problem. But lately, I have seen a crazy change, especially during COVID in India, which is increase among people when it comes to empathy. Understanding personally that each problem has a set of targeted users. I don't know how many people are here from Bangalore, but there is a thing that if it's a Kormangla Indranagar problem, then please don't solve it. So that's what I'm saying. I think the global picture is coming. We are not trying to build for India anymore. I think at this point, we are not dal, we are lentil soup. We are Indians building for the globe. And that is the crazy approach which has come. The borders are blurring for all of us. And that has been the crazy factor of rise of these startups, or more grants are coming in. In fact, government is aligned with building something in India for the globe. And I think that has been one of the biggest motivator, but clearly there are a lot of those, and definitely go.
Okay, so if I talk about many of people around me, like me, I'm a opportunist. Okay, so even during the COVID, when I was just experimenting, making beautiful dal and decorating my house. Most of suddenly everyone was Instagrammer. Okay, everybody was doing and posting things, and I was one of them. I fed up after a while because that was not my hobby of, making different cooking, items and all. Many of us, it gave an opportunity that you should sit back and you thought that what you are doing with your life. Okay. Because there is a clear, a dark, you were not sure what is going to happen. There are a lot of negativity outside. I mean, like me, many of you would have switched off your TV and would move on to Netflix or any, any channel like that. So that time when you sit back and you do, what do you want to do with your life? Maybe the trigger point, and that's also a trigger point for me for my second venture, mFly. So that's when we started up this company, that what would be a new normal after COVID. How will people behave? How workspace will behave? How will people interact? What would be the role of AI, in this automation, that the journey that people would be taking after COVID. And that actually helped to do a pivot and reshape my business idea, get on to the research work, identify what area I should focus on instead of just going around like crazy. So that's I guess the reason, because when you have to run fast, you actually first have to stop a bit, and then you have to think, and then you have to start instead of just running and keep on doing this. That could be the one of the that halt in the life of many of the people around us. Thank you.
See, I think on unicorns, a lot of it is hyped up by the media. I'm from Bangalore, a very proud Bangalorean, and I think we've contributed a lot even to the world stage. And we have our civic movements. We had Stop the Steel flyover and all of that stuff. So I think it's one of the few cities in India where the civic movement is probably as strong as the business movement and all of that stuff. It is a media hype, and I'm saying that for two reasons. I'm saying that because rarely do we see stories of the compromises that the entrepreneur had to do on the cap table. It's so what do you read in the papers is Series A, so many millions raised, Series B, so many million. All that is fine, but that's coming at a cost. That's coming at an understanding, right? Very few people say, okay, this is what you raised, but what was the return that you gave to the investor at the end of the day? And because I have a positive bias, you put that in my head, I have a positive bias to the traditional models of running the business. The Jain community, what I learned working with them was cash is king. You have power, right? What I learned from the Tamil business people is you don't have to seek validation by buying a Mercedes Benz. You're wearing a very simple white dhoti and white shirt, but you're dealing with millions of dollars. So I think one, to her point, is we've started to think global. So once you're addressing solving a problem on a global level with technology, which was not there earlier, that is the opportunity. There is a dark side to it, and I think it's important that we recognize that. And I won't be surprised if from this batch of all the youngsters, even those who've joined us virtually, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have even one entrepreneur at the end of it, because it's okay. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And success is my only worry sometimes is the society that we're becoming. Because what are we celebrating? We're celebrating X $1 million raised. We're celebrating so much of material I'm sounding like a Baba, I think. I'm sorry about that. I just realized, but I'm just saying that road hardly takes you anywhere. Because if you're going to play the game of a pecking order, somebody is going to be higher you in the pecking order, somebody is going to be lower. I think that the important question is, we have hit a century for unicorns. How many of them will be sustainable? Because interestingly, the business mind in me, right? 23 of them of the 100 are not cash positive. So I won't be surprised if the value erosion happens fairly quickly to them. So I think the takeaway for me is one, absolute pride as a citizen of this country, as a Bangalorean, that we've contributed to that. From a business hat, I'm just hoping that we get the fundamentals of the business right, so that we're able to sustain these kind of stories. Yeah.
So I think I would agree a lot with what they've said, and especially what Udita said. You're building in India for the globe. And all these success stories which are there in the media have given a lot of youngsters the confidence that they too can do this. It's become, just the word entrepreneur has become aspirational. I mean, something at least I know that when I did it, way back, it was considered that this is there's something wrong, but today it's on the other side. And with all that's being celebrated, it's okay as an entrepreneur to make mistakes. It's okay as an entrepreneur to take risks bordering on, which would be very bordering on, being irrational is okay. So a lot has become okay, and big dreams, have kind of panned out. And with COVID, I think a lot of folks are realizing that this is the time to do what they want, because suddenly where, everything was very long and you could take your time to take your decisions and do some planning, because a lot of it came to a halt, a lot of it went flip-flop. I think a lot of youngsters have figured that it's better to take the risk now. And anyways, it is okay to fail. I think the one thing, while, the media has hyped all the success stories, somewhere it has become okay that if you're a failed entrepreneur, it's not the end of the world. And especially, as was said in the other panel, when you have the backing of such a great college behind you, you go ahead and try. You can always come back to a job. So I think these are the couple of things which, are still, though we're talking of a funding winter and a difficult economic scenario, but startups are still mushrooming because of this optimism.
So I think it's more of an inductive effect where entrepreneurs are rubbing onto us that, that entrepreneurial spirit. And together we are creating an ecosystem that we are nurturing and probably growing in dimension. So yes, my next question is to Yashaswini ma'am. Your latest venture, Culturelytics, is an AI-based platform. Previously, too, you have worked with K Arogya, which was also an AI-based platform. And even for Deepthi ma'am too, coffeemug.ai is a super connected AI platform. So, of course, undoubtedly that technology plays a huge role in any business model today. So how do you think that your organizations are playing using technology to develop itself way better, and how are your business models shaping according to the changing trends of technology that we see in the market today? We'll start with Yashaswini ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to attempt it in a way of why AI in the first place, right? It is an overhyped term. Everybody is saying AI nowadays. I think one, it presupposes huge amount of data. It presupposes a mind that can figure out a pattern. And the why you have to have AI in any of your business model depends on the problem you're trying to solve, right? So if you're dealing with complex situations, if you're dealing with huge amount of data, and if you feel that machines can make your life easier by predicting an outcome. So if your business is able to provide value by refining the predictability factor, the reliability and predictiveness, the validity and the reliability of your algos in the back end, then it's beautiful, because then scale is so seamlessly possible, right? So I think for me, the definition of the problem you're trying to solve has to be the first one. You can't put the cart before the horse, right? And then AI becomes an enabler for that. And while dealing with that, the beautiful thing that's happening globally is that the tech stacks are evolving. If you look at it from a global phenomenon, you would have seen a lot of layoffs happening in the IT industry, and typically in the IT industry, and the numbers are crazy. Google, laying off 12,000. We have a billionaire whose letter has gone viral, where he's pushing for 30,000 Google employees to get laid off, and Sundar Pichai had his own battle to fight, etc. And that's because a lot of the engineers today are automating their own jobs. And this has started 5-6 years ago, right? So I think when we say that the world is hyper connected, it is connected through technology. So from an entrepreneur mindset, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And AI is an iterative process. It will become better over a period of time. So a couple of things is, one, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Second, do you have a mindset to kind of go back to the drawing board, erase everything and start over again? Because if your algos are developing a bias, then that bias is going to become more and more. It amplifies it. And that's what I learned in my health tech startup, right? So if the machine is being taught to diagnose a certain body ailment in a certain way, and if you have a limited data set, it runs the risk of extrapolating that to a large mass, which may be error prone. So I think the gameplay of AI warrants an entrepreneur to first of all take risks, get into the unknown, but be absolutely comfortable in erasing everything and going back into the drawing board. So my takeaway is using AI as an enabler rather than saying I'm an AI company, right? That's my take.
I actually totally agree with her, because, what problem you're solving comes first. And that is what defines whether there is something which is going to use an algorithmic solution, or is it something which will need to go beyond writing out an algorithm and kind of, passing it to AI to figure out what is dependent, what is the data set trying to say. Our coffee mug is all about predicting a match for you, right? That out of these possible folks, who's the best match? Or if you met someone and I'm like you, who am I likely to meet? These are answers which are best given by an AI model, more than, some 40, 50 reasons I try to put in an algorithm, but I'll still get them wrong and I'll get biases. So it's really, not, I think we were trying to solve a networking problem, and we feel that use of AI helps us solve that problem better. It's not that we wanted to do something in AI and hence we are building out Coffee Mug. So
Yeah, she rightly said, any technology that you work upon, it's a tool. Okay, be it AI, ML, because these words are, tomorrow we will be having a lot of companies, coming up in augmented reality, virtual reality. So these are just the tools. Okay, the techniques that, employee or a company use to automate their workplace, or maybe automate their workflows. Okay, and the best part of AI is that it gives you a predictive analysis, and people, there are a lot of data, as she rightly pointed out, that there are a lot of data, and if you put a man behind it, calculating that data, it will take a lot of man hours, right? Instead of that, if we have a trained AI and it can do that job and with effectively, then why not? And we have to work on the problem, then we have to find the solution, right? So we can't, predict, like I will create a product which will be based on AI, and no matter what the product would be alike, right? So it can't be other way around. So most of these companies are doing the right way. And yes, because of these fancy words, a lot of companies are also getting fundings, and it helps them to, achieve some goal which they have, which they were trying to do it earlier, but now they're not able to do it because, and after, putting some jargons like this, they happily, they get the fundings, they get the attraction, media attraction, PR and all. So yeah, that's good for some.
I think I'm the safest bet here. My company is yet to do anything with AI, but I have 3 experts in house who will be telling me how to. So yeah, I'm out of this question.
Okay, so coming back, I mean, maybe an extrapolation to this question. So for you, what is your intellectual property for your venture? Is it the evolving technologies that you are implementing in your solutions, or is it the workforce? I mean, the culture, the heart of the people in the organization? Yeah, do you want to go there? You have the mic.
Since we are in fintech, I'll say that the driving factors is the rails on which all the transactions happen. Huge part of it is also workforce, not gonna lie about that, but it's I also, is it safe to say RBI? Of course, like I think the safest thing is to say is RBI is the running factor, whether my company will work or not. It is a nightmare. I think I was discussing last night coming up that my biggest nightmare is going through RBI's website only to know whether company has to shut down because a rule got changed. But yeah, the driving factor I'll say is RBI, definitely rails, and the collaborations on which all the companies exist. Most practical will be Visa and MasterCard, if I have to say. And lastly, it will be the workforce, especially when you're an early stage startup, you really need people who are as passionate about it as you. If they are not, then it's really hard. I understand salary is a huge motivating factor. Everyone likes coming back home to a 6-digit every month, but if it doesn't drive you crazy at 2 a.m. at night, that you are crazy enough to call up the founder and be like, listen, something went wrong and I really want you to know, then I think that is the best factor. If you have people who are as passionate about you for the problem that it's keeping them up at night, and they're more than happy to dump it on you, and then they go to sleep, you stay up all night, but it's really good to get that notification. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me as well, team is very important. Execution of idea, you need a great team. And I really appreciate all these people who joined my both ventures. Somebody who believed in me and the company. So, and that's a driving force. But ultimately, customer. Okay, so for me, the customer is also a very driving factor. The first 5 customers that I acquired, I owe to them because they helped me to achieve my dream to go bigger and bigger. So my whole workforce, my entire team know that customer is one. I would, awake the whole night to make, things happy for him. And what I committed, I will definitely deliver it to them.
So your question on what is IP, what technology or people, from a valuation standpoint, it'll be the algorithms in my company, because the algorithms are valued as something and that is capable of solving a problem, etc., etc. But however, from an entrepreneur standpoint, it's always people. And whatever in my career so far, I've worn 3 hats, right? One is an HR head, the second is a person who has managed a portfolio of startups, and third is a serial entrepreneur. And everywhere I find culture to be a game changer. And because I think it's people who bring the spirit, and in investing, we always get asked this question: if you have an A idea and a B team, but if you have an A team but a B idea, what would you invest in? And most often than not, it's the A team, because things will fail in business. We will have problems. So it's the team and the resilience that we bring to it. And even your institute. I mean, last evening we were having a conversation, and I was reflecting on what Professor Sarangi said, about the culture of this. And you're a Jesuit organization, started in 1949. By traditional norms, they had to be prayerful. So I think some of the Jesuit priests were entrepreneurial, and that's why you have XLRI. And if that doesn't inspire you to become entrepreneurs, nothing will, because history tells us that there is, now I'll add Salman Khan also, dar ke aage jeet hai, right? So history will always tell us that the more fun you start having with life, and the more fun you make it, it needs to be an adventure. At least that's how I see it. It's a game you're playing. It's one of those video games that you're playing. You lose this level, you start all over again. You're running and you find something. It's you need to have fun with it. You need to have fun with your business. You need to have fun with your life. Otherwise, it's just too heavy for you to kind of have those. So I think if you're talking to me as a potential investor, I am going to play up both my algorithms value and the culture, not necessarily people, but the culture, because values of an organization is the actual value. And I'll tell you why, is because when you're faced with a dilemma, values are good on posters and everything, but they get tested when you're in a dilemma. So I would want to see what are the decisions you take when you're in a dilemma. And that is the character of the business. And that is, I think, the real value of it.
Yeah, I agree fully with, Yashaswini. And I think to me, it is the A team, which has left, which has come to join us, leaving much bigger money, names, comfort. And they've joined what I call a madhouse, where it is 24/7 adventure. And I think that is the core, that is the soul. And their belief in ensuring a great experience, not so great, I agree at times, but doing our best to ensure a great experience for the 400,000 members who've registered with us. And then they are putting together the algorithms and the AI. So yes, for the investors, it is, the numbers and the algorithms and everything. But to me, it is very clearly this A team and the culture which they are building. In fact, very often, and in the very core, positions where we've added people, I think you've, as much as the talent, I think one has focused on, fit in our beliefs, in our way of working, in what we define as right and wrong. So it's that.
So it's the infusion of both with equal measures, I guess.
No, it's always people. And
It's always equal. Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we were discussing in the previous panels too, and we've been discussing it for quite a while, that how markets are important. Even ma'am in her address yesterday, she focused on how markets are very important for a business to flourish. I would like to know that what goes on inside the mind of an entrepreneur. Of course, you have an idea in place. You have a crazy idea there, but how do you know which part of the value chain you should be tapping upon, or probably what market should you be watching out for, so that your business stands out in the crowd?
Yeah. So you mean when you're beginning to set it up or when you're running it?
Both, anything is fine, or probably when you're starting it as well.
I think when you're starting it, you identify a problem, which, it's identifying a problem more than a market. And you identify a problem because, like Udita mentioned, it could be something which is very close to you personally, or something which you feel is really large, and you're wondering why no one has solved it. And this is something which excites me. Once you go deeper, it excites you, and you feel you can do something about it. And it's a problem at scale. To me, what I always look for is, or in all the, whether it was marriage, whether it was property or non-networking, I think what one looked for was that, is it a problem which is bothering a large number of people who would definitely, some point or the other, would be interested enough to explore a solution because it solves it for them. So to me, it is the size of the market. That's the first thing which I would look at.
Yeah, I agree with her. I think, look, there are millions of problems to be solved. So I think the method of the madness is, will you enjoy solving that problem? And will you enjoy solving that problem for a fairly long period of time? Because things are not going to be easy once you start on that journey. So I think identifying a marketplace and all is externalizing a lot of it. Those are all outcomes. I have seen in my limited experience that entrepreneurs who chase money almost always fail, right? So again, it's the whole glamour bit of it. Okay, entrepreneur because you're going to play in millions. No, I think money and value is an outcome. And that is the mindset. So if you're looking at, when I'm going to start a business, what is the problem that I want to solve? Will I enjoy solving that problem? And if you're going to really enjoy solving a problem, you will create an opportunity for yourself. And if you're like, look, we did not have Facebook before Facebook, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. Entrepreneurs think differently. For all you know, she may be creating a market where there is none. So why would I want to limit myself to say, in this market, where do I position myself? And then we get into theory, blue ocean, red ocean, and all of that stuff. But, to put it very simply, do I enjoy solving this problem? For me, it starts there.
Yeah. So we do research when we venture our product, and it's important. She rightly said, you need to have a passion towards that idea and to whom you're solving. So to whom you're solving, it is also as important, because ultimately you have to sell it you should have a buyer, right? So if you know your buyer well, you will tweak the product accordingly. So suppose if I go with my own company, this particular product of AI automation or field force can be done to any sort of business, be it FMCG, be it automobile or any sector, you name it. Everywhere you have a workforce, you have a sales force that can use our product. But where my idea will be best resonating to start with. Okay, I may choose one sector first. I will do a pilot and we'll see whether it is working in this particular sector or not, be a master in then, and then go to the next sector. That could be one approach. Or I can go just Salesforce. I created a very customizable product. It can be used by any sector, any SME, and I just label it as per the features and then sell it in the market. So it's basically dependent on how your business model is, how you want to take this venture ahead, and also it's also depend upon do you have the capability to build that product on a scale, or you just want to go bit by bit and pieces, something like that. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely.
I think it's a battle between idealism and realism. In an ideal world, you will pick up the most, I don't know if I should say this, but the most sexy marketplace, which is trending right now. You will find one untapped area, you will build something on it. And I think these days people just make a website and you will just go ahead and put all these fancy words and you will sell the idea. But in a real world, I believe you really, really need to be passionate about the problem you're solving, else you will not have that constant motivation in you to go ahead and go through 300 documents, talking to 500 consultants, shamelessly going around asking people, I have heard that you are expert in this field. Can you give me your 5 minutes? I think the most personal story is my flatmate and I, we are also co-founders. He was initially pursuing a very different idea, which was B2B finance. I was making an escrow service. We both were doing very well, having a very chill life during COVID. Until one point, we both ended up discussing our ideas and we realized that there is a good collaboration we can do. How about we build business international escrow, which later became business banking, because we suddenly realized that there is a much bigger problem to solve and it's personally affecting both of us. He has built business in past. He knows how difficult it is for small drivers and all to get up and do something with their life. I have been a freelancer who has received money and we both realized we could collaborate. So if you are getting a co-founder, have someone who is driven the way you are, else you should be passionate about it yourself, else it will not happen in the long run. I think you gave an amazing example. There were 14 search engines before Google came. And it's about how you're solving. There is a first mover advantage, there is a last mover advantage. And I personally believe the least of your concern should be how overcrowded the market is, because if you're building a good product, people are going to buy it. There is no stopping to them.
I think that was beautifully answered. Well, I'll go with the final question for everybody and wrap up this panel discussion today. For me, I call it my Oscar moment. Whenever I achieve something that I've been really working hard for, even if that means meager to the rest of the world, but means a lot to me. So I know entrepreneurship is a journey of success, failures. It's an uphill, downhill journey. But what has been so far? What has been your Oscar moment? Please, if you could tell us all.
I would like to start with Y Combinator is not the end of the world, but I got to know about Y Combinator when I was in class 10th, I think. And to start with, it's the most prestigious accelerator program for startups. Some of the biggest startup in the world, Stripe, Razorpay, Meesho, all of they have graduated from it. This is the most funny story that I tell people. I gave Y Combinator interview for the 4th time, failed 3 times. I would like to clarify. 4th time, it was 2 days before Diwali. I was actually pretty drunk. And I was like, it's 4th time, we're going to lose it again. What happens? Let's just go ahead, gave an interview. I think whiskey buys me a lot of confidence. I ended up scaling that interview. And I think it was Dhanteras. And I woke up to a message from the Y Combinator's partner saying that I called you guys 12 times last night. Nobody picked up. You guys are in. And we were like, oh shit, this is happening. And I just went back. I just called my mom and I was like, Mom, I got into Y Combinator. And she said, "Theek hai, breakfast kiya kya?" And that's when I realized this is a very personal my Oscar moment. Nobody else gives a fuck about it at this point. But yeah, that moment was probably the only time I had happy tears while working. I think I think everyone relate to it. There are a lot of sad tears. Like you said, dark side. But yeah, that was my Oscar moment.
Well, my first check, that was the when, I mean, I celebrated, though it was not cash in, but I had the check from from my first venture, and they were Bangladeshis visiting India. So they gave me right in front of this Indian flag CP area. And I was like, oh my God, what should I do? And I was just jumping around with this foreigner. Somehow I did that. And I know somebody was watching me and he said that she's insane. Maybe they would be thinking me at that point of a time. And yeah, that was the one thing that, helped me, to restore my confidence in me that, yes, I can do it. And later there were many Oscars and, Titanic movement happened in my life.
I think for me, hand on heart, I've not had an Oscar moment. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know. I think maybe I'm self-deprecating, or I feel that, if you draw a line, the next line can be longer.
But do you have anything in your mind that this, if I achieve, would be my Oscar moment?
The sofa is so comfortable, and you've said this is our last question, and I just don't feel like it's post lunch and she's asking me this. It's like I'm talking to my therapist or something like that. But sorry, what was your question again? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm serious. What
No,
was
no.
it?
Just wanted to ask if you have something in your mind that you could achieve and call it your Oscar moment.
Oh gosh, I'm such an introvert. I don't think I will ever, but seriously, hand on heart, I wish I will lead a healthy life and a long life enough for me to answer that question sometime. Yeah, yeah.
But then I feel
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
feel pretty privileged as a moderator here because I was able to cut off the food coma for all. And people are laughing and they're participating in the discussion as much as the panelists. So, and that serves my purpose. Ma'am.
Excellent.
You will be disappointed. I agree with her. I honestly think, when I read that also, I wondered, man, I haven't had an Oscar moment. So I think my Oscar moment is yet to come. So waiting for that, like you, Sashini.
Great. So on that note, I think it was wonderful hosting all four of you out here. And of course, the crowd and everybody out here. And it was inspirational to see such women making a mark in the world of entrepreneurship. On this note, I would like to hand over the mic to my peer, Urvashi, who will be hosting from here.
Yes, we'll be open to the Q&A now. You can raise your hands and then the mics will reach you. Can we send a mic to Divya, please?
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming here. My name is Divya. The question I have is, we have been talking a lot about having a background and then taking a risk. I have two thoughts around it. One, having a background and then taking a risk. Does the perseverance get affected there? Because there is already a background and hence I know even if this doesn't work out, I can go back to what I was doing. Or alternatively, if there is no background that I'm coming from, I would pursue it with more passion. How do you think that works?
I don't know about others. Please feel free to add in. For me, I think I'm a 0 or 100%. You can get paralysis analysis. It happens. I'm not trying to sound anything bigger than that. But unless and until you burn the bridges and you're in it, you're not justifying the business idea that you've signed on to. So I know we take risks, but our risks are not careless. They're not frivolous. They're not, they're not flippant. It's always a calculated risk. So naturally, we have to hedge those risks that we take. But perseverance is for me a function of not allowing yourself an option. Because if you're not committed, then what's the point? And as an entrepreneur, you're handing over checks and salaries to your employees, and you hire an HR head, and the HR head goes and says, welcome to this great company. And, and then you guys sound so wonderful to say, yeah, I want this job. I'm going to work 2 shifts a day and everything. But, if your mind and heart are not really aligned, you're not committed, you really can't build a company worth its salt that will stand the test of time. Right? So that's you guys can add.
Answered. So very honestly, I think why we're talking about background is that maybe personally feel that a lot of folks go for A-grade colleges more, for there's a comfort that, okay, you're going to have a grand placement at the end of it. And when we pass this comment that, you guys can always get back to it, it is okay. Can we nudge a few people out of their comfort zone? Because once you take the plunge, you actually forget that you have a background. It is, you forget it once the minute you cross that line, because, it's not like you think that I can get back to it, because what you sign up for when you give up this background and you cross the line to becoming an entrepreneur is Your peers will be earning 10x more of you in the initial years. Definitely, you will be leading a more difficult life. You will be traveling economy class. You will even need to take a train. You will not be taking foreign holidays. And, hence you will not be wearing designer clothes, etc., 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 right down to the places you dine in. So when you actually make the switch, that background fades away. And the bigger decision in front of you is, are you okay signing up to a life of difficulty? Are you okay signing up to a life of uncertainty? But at the same time, I think only a person who enjoys a roller coaster is the kind of person who can become an entrepreneur. Really, your background will fade away, because 1 year there will teach you a lot of what you systematically go through in the course. So try it. It's exciting.
Do we have any more questions?
We're back to the food coma.
Okay, then in that case, thank you to our panelists today for sharing with us what their journey has been as an entrepreneur and imbibing in us the idea that you have to be someone who has to have a knack to look for a problem in this world and find a solution to it in the most passionate manner ever. Entrepreneurs mostly come from their set of experiences of a problem that they have faced in their day-to-day lives. Some choose to ignore it and some choose to solve it. And the ones who solve it become entrepreneurs. Now, I would like to request our co-placement convener, Professor Sunil Kumar Sarangi, to present a token of appreciation to all our panelists here today. Mr. Shaswini Ramaswamy. Mr. Shaswini. Thank you. Thank you.
I was looking forward to answering the question why all women's panel, which I will. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Ms. Basudha.
Okay, ma'am.
So, why don't you please come out?
Oh,
No, you
that's
can be
quite a
able to
climb.
do it.
Ms. Basudha.
Please. Oh, okay. Oh.
Ms. Udita. Last but not the least, Ms. Deepthi Tandon.
Ma'am, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for coming by.
We would also request Anshu ma'am to present a token of appreciation to Aprajita, our moderator for this amazing panel. Anshu ma'am is our corporate relations officer.
You are not part of the crowd. You know you are meant for more. To be more, do more, grow more. Here's something else to know. The future isn't in your hands. It's in a handshake. That idea in your head needs other minds to grow. Among those bouncing boards, you will find your springboard. A position, a place, a passion to engage, a friend, a mentor, an investor. Success is just magic born over coffee with a stranger. Yes, networks build net worth. And networking shouldn't be hard work because it's not the likes, the recos, the 1,000 plus connections. All it takes is that one conversation with the warm introduction on a platform that sets in motion. Meet your glory, meet your fame, connect with those curated few. Meet the ones that matter to you. Coffee mug, grow like you are meant to.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another great podcast session. I'm Satavisa.
We now have
With
an
the massive
important announcement
worldwide
to make.
digital
And for
transformation,
that, I would like to call
artificial
upon
intelligence
Sauradeep
and machine
Mukherjee
learning
from the
have become
Corporate
an
Competition
important
Committee
part
to take
of our
over.
lives and society as a whole. Today, we have with us
In case that missed out in the audio that was going on in the background, we have a very important announcement to make. And for that, I would like to call upon Sauradeep Mukherjee from the Corporate Competition Committee to take over.
Thank you, Rishi. The Indian startup ecosystem has grown exponentially. It all begins with just a thought or a simple idea. With the number of startups increasing day by day, the companies need to keep innovating themselves or to build something new or to make the existing system better. So with these thoughts in mind, we Corporate Competition Committee, along with Innovate Cell, organized a national level BPAN competition where we garnered a lot of responses. We garnered more than 600 registrations, as well as 80 plus new startup ideas. The jury had a tough time to select the best 3 ideas out of the numerous submissions, but we are here with the results right now. It gives me immense pleasure to announce the winners. Team Justify from IIM Bodhgaya. They propose to act as an aggregator for law-related services. Congratulations, Team Justify. Next, first runner-up, Team InfiLife Earth from Vishnu Institute of Technology, Andhra Pradesh. They provided a solution on net zero carbon emission. Congratulations, Team InfiLife. Now the winner, Team Bliskia from Indian Institute of Health Management Research, Jaipur. They want to solve the education problem for blind children. Congratulations, Team Bliskia. I would also like to thank all the other teams who participated in the competition. That's all from my side today. Thank you very much. Now I would like to hand over to Stewardship.
As it is rightly said by Toni Morrison, what's the world for you if you can't make it up the way you want it? If perseverance is your armor and you're ready to run the marathon when it comes to life, then entrepreneurship, my dear friend, is what you're looking for. And to introduce us to the next panel, I would like to hand over the mic to Surabhi Sinha to take it up from here.
Thank you, Urvashi. Now that we are all awake and alert, I think we can move on to the next panel for today. Before we proceed, I would like to call upon Souvik sir to hand out a bouquet to Udita ma'am. Yes, please. India is home to almost 100 plus unicorns. The last decade has seen tremendous growth with overall startup valuation nearing somewhere about $340 billion, which, as Mr. Rajiv Bharia rightly pointed out, has made India the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And there is no sign of a slowdown. This means we could be seeing approximately 100 more startups joining the coveted unicorn club soon. This rapid boost in the Indian unicorn landscape is soon going to bring in decades of growing digital economy for the nation. But is the road to success going to be a linear one? Building equitable, sustainable brands while expanding both globally and nationally will be one of the biggest challenges this League of Unicorns will be facing in the coming years. Working to understand and decipher the present and upcoming breakthroughs that have sped up digitalization and tech adoption in the post-pandemic age will also be the roadblocks that these unicorns will have to overcome. And it might just be rocky roads ahead from here on. As the startups grow, so will the need for investors. Earlier today, Mr. Saurabh Garg rightly said, it just takes one person to believe in your idea. The panelists whom I am about to introduce now have been that one person at some point in time and have graced us with their presence today to discuss further the theme League of Unicorns. Before I proceed with the introductions, I would like to call upon stage Sarangi sir to give away the bouquets to Mr. Gaurav Kachru and Mr. Abhijit Kumar.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, sir. This is for Mr. Abhijit Kumar. Mr. Arijit Bhattacharya, since we've already given you the bouquet, that's why to not make you feel left out, we'll start off with your introduction first. Mr. Arijit Bhattacharya is a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and business matchmaking expert. Arijit is also known as a virtual reality specialist and AI evangelist. He is ranked number 14 globally as a blockchain thought leader. His love for travel has led him around the globe across 40 countries till date and built a business network in over 95 countries. He is a startup mentor and faculty of entrepreneurship and technology, and is very actively associated with world-leading tech, finance, and political organizations. Arijit's experience in helping startups, entrepreneurs, and governments across the world to solve problems using entrepreneurship, technology, finance education, and innovation spans over 24 years, and has also led him to become the founder of Virtual Infocom, or VIC, one of India's first game development studios, which is known for its many innovations in IT solutions, game development, AI, ML, blockchain solutions, VR, AR, XR, and animation. Arijit has also founded Entrepreneur Space, a platform to connect startups with mentors and investors, and created his own high net worth individual angel fund to help SMEs, startups, and mid-level corporate companies. As an active mentor and consultant, Arijit has helped thousands of startups to grow and glow. Sir, welcome to XLRI and INGENIUM. We would like to welcome you to the panel. Next up, we have Mr. Abhijit Kumar, who is the co-founding partner at our venture fund, Angel Investor and Entrepreneur. With a BTech from the esteemed IIT Mumbai, Abhijit has worked with Deloitte Consultant as an associate consultant before moving on to found his own company, Pronto Infotech in the ITES space. Here he faced and overcame the challenges that come with setting up an enterprise. In the last 6 years, he has created a successful venture with a multi-crore revenue system. He has worked with numerous clients across industries and in various functional domains, including tax, retail, HR, e-commerce, web, supply chain, technology, banking, and others. Abhijit has extensive experience working directly and indirectly with various functional domains, consulting in both businesses and technical capacities, and being able to evaluate ventures across the board. He has also assisted entrepreneurs with smart cost planning through the optimization of systems, processes, and networks, as well as setting and achieving goals. Abhijit is not only has a large network of professionals from a variety of fields, including operations, finance, accounting, and marketing, but he also has the ability to produce business. Sir, welcome to XLRI and to INGENIUM. We would like to welcome you to the panel, please. Our third and final panelist for today is Mr. Gaurav Kachru. Gaurav is the managing partner at Superfuel Ventures. The Superfuel portfolio has a 100% markup track record, raised over $400 million across its investments, and has created over 2,000 jobs by 2021 as an entrepreneurial, hands-on early-stage investor. Gaurav has invested in a number of companies, including Shiprocket, DataWeave, Roposo, BU Salons, and Talking Threads, of which Gaurav is both CEO and co-founder. In addition, he has also co-founded and built Deals & You and was a founding director of Fashion & You. These two startups raised approximately $87 million between 2010 and 12 before Gaurav decided to exit both companies. Previously, Gaurav has led businesses for Fortune 100 companies as General Electric, including Country Director, GE Transportation and VP Strategic Accounts, GE Corporate South Asia, leading all of GE's key strategic relationships, as well as serving on GE's India's Growth Council and Marketing Council. Gaurav's most recent position was CEO, Digital Retail, India Today Group. Additionally, he managed Manpower Inc.'s largest clients across 21 countries as Director, Global Accounts, Asia Pacific and Middle East. In order to give back to the society, Gaurav spends a portion of his work week mentoring emerging business people in prestigious educational and community forums like IITM, IIT KGP, NMIMS, Head Start Ventures, and more. He has won honors from the various corporations he has worked for, including GE Capital, Global Management Award, GE India Management Awards, and India Today Group's Chairman's Award. But most recently, he received the Karamveer Chakra Award from the UN and International Confederation of NGOs, ICONGO, for his contributions to the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Sir, extending the warmest welcome to XLRI and INGENIUM.
Before we start with the panel discussion, I would like to request Souvik sir to please come over and present a token of appreciation to Mr. Akhil and Mr. Madhav from Coffee Mug. I would request Souvik sir to please present a bouquet to Mr. Madhav and Mr. Akhil. And Anshu ma'am to please present the memento.
Lastly, to set off the panel discussion, let me introduce you to our moderator for the session and my fellow student, Akash Raj Shukla. Akash is a result-driven professional, passionate individual who comes with over 6 years of experience, having worked in India's leading logistics firm Delivery. He has been a highly innovative, analytical, and focused professional in the supply chain consulting and business development domains. His tenaciousness and amiable nature, apart from the fact that he is one of the sharpest minds in our batch, has also led him to become the General Secretary for our Student Elected Placement Committee and a representative of the batch. Today, at the third edition of our flagship startup conclave, INGENIUM, we hope to take away insights from our esteemed panelists that will help the up-and-coming startup aspirants and give direction to their dreams, bring their plans to fruition, and most importantly, learn what not to do. Now, I will let Akash take over from here and initiate the final discussion.
Thank you, Surbhi, for your kind words. Well, welcome, Gaurav, Abhijit, and Arjit. Thank you for being here on a Saturday afternoon. Batchmates are excited to talk about the investment startup because from morning we are discussing that there is one idea, one believer, what it takes to come and pursue that $1 million idea. So one of my favorite entrepreneur, Peter Thiel, has said that venture capital is not a science. It is a form of art. And it basically takes that identification of idea and a courage to bet on it. Similarly, India, as of now, it is an era of disruption, the rapid technologies which are changing the game of startups. And similarly, India is third when it comes to the ecosystem of startups, which have been registered in 2020, compared to the number which was just 5,000 in 2010. Now it is 15,000 in just 2020. The reason for that is the key drivers for the same is the UPI, which has existed, the technological changes, the internet, and the excess of phones, which the public has. It has led to, these are the key enablers which has led to the growth of the startups in India. But still we feel that there are still many challenges that act as a hindrance in realizing the true potential of startups in India. And through the panel discussion, which we'll be having, I like to bring the questions that my batchmates would also be interested to know about, apart from the theories which we have studied in our financial management courses and different courses of private equity, merger and acquisition. So to start with, I'll start with a very general question that what do the changes you see in the startup industry in India from last 5 to 10 years? And what have been the key drivers for the startups in the last 5-10 years? So Gaurav, would you like to take it?
So let's put it like this. When we raised our first startup in 2009, we were running around, right, trying to raise money. It was a very different situation. There were very few funds, and very few wanted to invest in the vertical things like e-commerce. We were predecessors to the Flipkarts of the world, or the Mintras of the world. And there were very few, practically no angels, right? So there were no established norms on what a good term sheet looks like, no best practices. And honestly, we pretty much got screwed on our Series A, right? So one of the reasons that we insist when we set up 5 Ideas, Startup Superfuel as a platform, one of the reasons we spend so much time educating the ecosystem is so that no one else gets screwed the way we got screwed by people with 2 extra connections than we did. Today, I think the ecosystem has developed and matured to no end, right? I mean, you've got over 800, 900 qualified investors in the angel networks in the major cities alone, right? You've got a bunch of corporate professionals who are looking to jump in as well. There are accelerators which have now become fairly well recognized, which are doing reasonably decent work for practically no equity. And I think there's a plethora of young funds, right? 2 of us being examples right here, right? Who are continuing to invest in early stage before the global players, all of whom driven by the fact that the rest of the world is not growing at the same pace and they don't have 1.5 billion people, right? Is throwing money in this direction, right? So there's almost $6 billion in dry VC powder, right? VC and PE powder that's sitting pointed at India. right? Money that's already been raised, right? Which hasn't been deployed. So yeah, it's a drastic transformation from when we raised our first startup 13 years ago, a little longer. So I think it's a good time. It's a very good time to start up for anyone who does want to start up.
Thank you, Gaurav. If I go by the numbers also, in India in 2021 over 2020, venture capital funding has increased by 3.8x time. Versus if I compare with China, it's just 1.3 times. And as I already mentioned, the key drivers, and you also said that you are here with the super fuel ventures, and what not to do, or what are the learnings, what are the challenges you have faced, and you're trying to eliminate for the future upcoming founders. So definitely the point taken. I'll move to Arjit. So Arjit, you started India's one of the oldest game development studios in 1998. And at that time, like gaming industry was in very nascent stage. I think not existed even in India, if I go back to 1998. So like, what was the vision at that time to, bringing that gaming development studio? When, if I talk about startups also, they were not a culture of startups. And then you coming with this idea, because right now there are many players in gaming, like we have Dream 11, we have many other firms who are doing good. So can you just go back to those 22 years back and what was the vision, and can share your story?
I think it's
I think it's about 25 years back, if I'm not wrong. Well, it's a funny story. I used to write in schools, and I totally disagree of a point that art is not science. Art is the biggest science that you can see. Unfortunately, people don't get that because humankind always feel that emotion is wrong. And a very beautiful language called English taught us that everything can be defined in 26 letters. So I used to fear a lot in my childhood days. And I saw a couple of people with long beard, white hair, gray hair, with paint brushes. They say that we are happy, we are artists, and we are not making money, but we are comfortable. To be very honest, when I was in class 10th standard, I created a number of superheroes. And I was thinking that if I have to enter in this vertical, the best option to marry between the logic, the programming that I know, I forgot to mention, I'm a self-taught programmer, to marry between that programming with maybe the art would be game development. I was crazy enough. I was mad enough. Because when I raised my hand and say that I'm into game development, nobody understood it. People used to say that you are in animation, which is completely different than game development. Game development needs artificial intelligence. It needs networking. It needs a lot of coding, and graphics is just a part of it, right? It's a roller coaster journey, to be very honest. I started with rupees 49 exact, that money in my pocket. It used to be my daily pocket money of 1 rupees, which I used to get from my mom, and I used to save it to start something meaningful. I had no computer, nothing. The way I started, I'll make it very, very simple for the audience because it's not a my story session. So the way I started an academy in my own house, started teaching students, made some money, went to Chandni Chowk area, which is in Calcutta, best known for getting systems assembled, got some offices as my customer, used to carry CPU and CRT monitor in my back to deliver that, to save that cost, completely bootstrapped model, right? And then in 3 years down the line time, I made a good number of people as my team member. I differ a point, employees and team. The kind of people I got in my organization for the last 25 years, they are working with us. This is the funniest part, right? And the reason I never ever wanted to hire a third party people, because I wanted to create my own kind of team. It's like creating your own Justice League, right? So that was the passion, if you ask me. And successfully, we created a very complete different kind of model. How many of you have heard about Shaktiman TV series? Oh my God. How many of you know that we are creator of Shaktiman game? None of you. That's the challenge in India. So till date, when you ask me a question that India is doing great in games, Unfortunately, we are superhero creators. We created more than 350 plus celebrities as our superhero characters in our games. You can find it maybe in almost every app store. But when we talk about these ecosystem, I actually wanted to create a system wherein people can get job. That was my next passion that happened in 2001. And when I look back in 2001 and wanted to recruit more and more programmers, more and more artists, I saw there is a huge gap. It's a big gap that people need realistic aspect in India. In today's time, what if I tell you that we are a complete cloud-based company in 2018 before even COVID hit? That time also people laughed at us. They said that they probably wanted to save their office cost or maybe some administrative cost. That's why they went to complete cloud. And I found, as I said, English is a very funny language of 26 letters. They said that if you consume apple, it is great. Apple can wipe out any of your so-called issues in your body. So they defined wood apple, they defined water apple, but fortunately we have approximate 52 letters in our Indian culture, almost every language, right? So what we did, we started creating epic-based and mythology-based characters and games. We are telling the world, we are not a country with a flute and a snake. We are basically a country coming with a lot of rich culture. And that gave us a lot of success. 2008, I became an individual angel investor just to understand if I couldn't make other understand that what is game development and how big this market is. And if the world is recognizing me, why don't I give back as maybe a individual angel investor? Eventually created a fund called Co-Innovate Ventures. Learned the trick to understand that you don't need to invest your own money. Rather, there are people with a lot of big money and they can join your hand. And that's the growth story. That's probably in a nutshell, my story. Hope that answers.
Yeah, that answers well. Well, Arjit, we all would have played Contra, Tetris, but we wouldn't have thought that way. But yeah, it's an interesting story that while designing your superheroes, and the fact when you told that Shaktiman was one of the baby product.
I will give you a model, which probably is unheard in India. If you're playing our games in southeast part of Asia, you would be able to buy any kind of realistic product. For an example, if there is a superhero costume, there are partnered companies with us who are actually selling it. And what we did, this is interesting, we actually trained a lot of village people who used to do crafts, handicrafts. Nowadays, we are shouting that we should do something for the handicrafts people, right? What we did, we trained all these people to create superhero costumes, amulets, ornaments, weapons, a lot of different kind of things inside the game. And we connected the real world with the virtual world. That makes you a disruptive company. Unfortunately, I'm here in India and you never played my game. Really feel sad.
Got it. So Arjit, I'll move on to Abhijit for a question relatably. Onto your journey, like tell us about our ventures, like what does it do and what is the story behind this name, like our ventures, and how, yeah, what is that, why this name?
Yeah, working, sorry. So the most serious definition of I is obviously exclamation, the fun behind it. And the company was started by two very old friends over a couple of drinks. It was more to start our own personal investments. And that's why we thought investing has been always a serious business, especially earlier days. Now it's fun. It looks like, okay, so much of investing happening. It's so easy to raise money. But back in days when I graduated, or maybe 2003, obviously there was no concept called investing. And 8, 9 also, it was very serious business because VCs were always very high valued. So we thought, let's make it a little fun. Why everyone is so serious in investing? Actually, it should be fun, right? You're at the end supporting business, which will make you wealthy. So the name came, and the other funny part explanation of this, Abhijit is A, Harshad is my other partner, H. So that's actually, that was the main reason. Yeah, so that's how we started. about 9, we incorporated the company more for our personal investments. So Harshad and I have done quite a lot of combined more than 150 odd personal investments through various channels, Mumbai Angels, IN, directly, indirectly. Then we thought of extending the concept to a network. There was always networks at that point of time. IN and Mumbai Angels were there, but they were limited to geographies. We moved the platform more to a larger scale, got more digital play into it, started inviting friends to start investing, extend the platform, more angel investors. The platform is still active. We do about have a portfolio about close to $50 million now on the platform, 150 investments. The next step was obviously, as Gaurav said, the early stage fund. So we launched the fund last year. The approval came this mid-June. It's a $20 million fund. So we want to be present in all the life cycle of a startup, right? So funding is never, you want to be there till the time you can be there with a startup, because then the returns are multiplied, right? So somebody asked me, why didn't you start a startup? You are an IIT. And I said, there are two ways to make money. Either you build a unicorn or you bet on a unicorn. Or you're right. So my part, I have the other kind of expertise. I can bet on a unicorn. So we want to be there invested till the time a company becomes a unicorn, or maybe 4,000, 5,000 crore. So for next step would be obviously for us to launch a VC firm, so that we get right from the first stage, invest through the platform, invest through the angel fund, invest through the VC fund, and maybe exit at IPO. So that's the whole journey.
Journey looks interesting. Adding on to it, when you said that you're managing a $50 million fund, so what are the top 5 factors, if I say, and I'll consider the financial factors first, like you consider before investing in a startup? So you may have a choice where you would be having 10 startups or 15 startups, but you can invest in 1 or 2. So what will be the primary key factors, the financial factors you consider before, going ahead, yes, this is the idea, this is the startup you're looking for?
No professors here as well. It's a $20 fund to start with, a $50 million platform, 50 million invested already in 150. But yeah, I'm not to offend anyone, the whole curriculum, but for us, it's always maybe 95% of the founders. Early stage is fully founders. It's rest of the things, business plan, market size, model, will keep changing. If founders are there, they'll make it work. If founders are not there, I can't run the business as an investor. So it's dead anyways, right? So when we invest such early stage, we look for not arrogant, but confident founders, down to earth, who can manage, tough situations, have sense of what they're doing, have knowledge of the product, market. But yeah, 95% is founder, 10% here and there rest.
He's already got 105%. Okay, so that tells you how much he's looking at financial metrics. We look at it differently. Okay, so yes, founders is a very key part of the equation. But you see, someone had brought up backgrounds, right? The lady next to you. Yeah, but she brought up backgrounds earlier in a previous discussion. And it's extremely important at the end of the day, if you want to build a startup in a space that's going to become a business someday, right? It's not always going to be a startup. It's going to become a business. And if you're going to disrupt a space, unless you have context, background, knowledge, understanding of what is right and what is wrong, what each stakeholder is involved or engaged with, right? How are you going to create that disruption? If you don't know the margins that, that are in various stages of the value chain, right? How are you going to create a meaningful disruption which is sustainable or is going to give you a critical advantage? So yes, when we look at founders, we look at founders from the background perspective, from what they've achieved, any track record of excellence. But very importantly, we don't want people trying to reinvent the wheel. No matter how smart the founder is, right? We need problems, which again was brought up in the previous panel, which are of a reasonable size. So just before we briefly touched upon the chaiwala outside as an entrepreneur. right? He's an entrepreneur, and Chai Point is also owned by an entrepreneur, right? And Chayo's is also owned by an entrepreneur. What's the difference? Right? One is looking at a completely disruptive, consistent product offering at a significant scale, right? The market existed. One guy is a repetitive entrepreneur, the other guy is an innovative entrepreneur. He's trying to take a certain vertical piece of our culture, package it, standardize it, roll it out in a completely different, and this is not a very innovative model, right? There's no fancy tech here, right? And for the record, technology boils down to standardization of processes, pretty much that, it's how to make something, right? Whether it is making chai or it's doing AI, right? So yes, the problem that you're solving for accounts, at least for us, at least 50% of it. We know you're going to morph your solution, right? But the founder's background and the problem that he's looking at have to be broadly aligned in our view, right? In terms of financial metrics, we'd be looking at viability. So, fundamental metrics which go around individual economics of the transaction itself. Different models, it'll be different, right? So a SaaS model, it'll be fundamentally different to an e-com model, to a real estate model, right? So a physical model or to a hybrid model, or the numbers will continue to change. But fundamentally, what you're looking for is the viability of an individual transaction, right? And can this model create disproportionate value at any stage by capturing a little more from someone else in the ecosystem? Right? At the end of the day, the total value in the ecosystem is the same, right? And unless you have an impact on the consumer's wallet, you're not going to make a difference. You're going to sink like a stone, just like lots of other people saying. For every one successful entrepreneur, there are 99 failed ones, right? So if you want to make a difference, there has to be a financial angle as well. What Abhijit means is that he invests at a much earlier stage than most of us.
Yeah.
Right? And he has line of sight to those companies way before most.
But wherever you invested is good. Shiprocket bought one of my portfolio companies.
Yeah.
It's 16. So yeah, I
But our portfolio companies became big enough to buy those.
No, so yeah, we do much earlier. But that doesn't mean, adding to his point, I am not going to invest on the full founders, right? Doesn't matter whether you're from XLRI or I am. When we evaluate the basic common sense. You assume that if a founder is talking sense, he will have knowledge of all the finances and the metrics.
Thank you, Gaurav. So just for the audience, like we would have studied different models on how to, evaluate those NPVs, those IRR, and how the sales is happening. What is the basic unit economics? So those points are valid, but yeah, it comes with the founder background also, that how the founders are taking those risks and what are not just the background and the qualifications they have, apart from because you summarized in just one point, and that was a qualitative factor. You mentioned that we look for the founders, and I was expecting there will be a key metrics of 5-7 points. Maybe you'll be looking at what are the problem they're solving, how big is the market, then again sales, there maybe P/E ratio or some other financial terms. But again,
at that stage, there is practically no ratio available, right? Yeah. And NPV or any IRR or anything else is based on forecasting. When we make an investment, we are looking at our own models, right? We are looking at spaces that we are keen on, spaces that we think are ripe for innovation. So there is an industry-led thesis that most funds have, and there is a strategy-led thesis that most funds have, right? As every fund moves from, so this is very important for guys who actually want to raise money, right? You have to understand what the thesis of the individual fund you're working with has, right? And there will be funds which are focused around specific areas, right? They will only invest. The fund that is done by this family.
A lot of D2C funds.
No, AI fund. They've done an entire fund. There are 2 funds now which are dedicated to AI, right? And every founder loves to throw in the word AI, but if I ask a founder what's the difference between AI and algorithm, most of them are biting their nails saying, it's just, right? So I'm saying, so there are people who are doing specific themed funds. There are people who are doing specific themed investments. Someone like us, the reason we have a very clear strategy is because we know where we're entering and where we're exiting irrespective. We will not hold on till IPO. That's a very clear, what do you call this thing for us? We will enter at X point and exit at X points. And for us, We need to look at the tradability of that asset in that phase. Someone who comes in and buys from us, right? Whether it's a Sequoia right now, or it's somebody else, right? No, at any point in time, they have a different thesis altogether. For them, that's a bargain. So if they're buying a Series C company and they're putting 50 million in, right? It's no big deal to them. To me, it's 2 times my fund size or 3 times my fund size. You know what I mean? That's their individual check that they're putting into them. Right. So
when you say that there are funds which are dedicated for a particular, as you mentioned, for AI, so are there particular sectors also in the industry that funds are focused upon?
Yes.
And even
health tech, agri-tech, there are specific funds that are working only those spaces, right? Health tech, agri-tech, biotech. When I say biotech, it's the product side, not product and DNA and gene splicing and fundu stuff like that, right? Which is really highly technical. Health tech goes into all of other things also, right? With more generic, right? AI, a bunch of other things. I mean, there's funds that specialize in various pieces. We had Axel. Everyone's heard of Axel, right? They're one of the biggest, largest funds in the world, right? Look at one of our companies, and they walked away from it saying that we think its final exit will be 500 to 700 million. We need a business that's at least $1 billion in potential, right? And I said, why? He says, because Gaurav, that exit is not going to make a difference on my total fund size.
Great.
He said, the work for me is exactly the same, but that exit is not going to make a difference to what I need to return to my investors. Right? So every fund has a thesis. You guys need to be, you guys are smart. You know, you're not fachas, right? This is an experienced class, right? So use your smarts, right? Understand who you're talking to, know your audience, right? Know who you're pitching to, know what is their strategy and how you fit. Very important if you want to succeed.
Great. And that I think applies for the entrepreneur also. Like you will be representing the organization. You need to know that your company wants to make you go ahead and chase 100 customers, and those 100 customers will be small size or medium size, versus you go for 5 customers or 10 customers, which are high paying clients, which are high revenue paying clients. So
completely agree.
Yeah. So going back to Arijit, so you have a book title called Experts Can Blow It. And there was a line mentioned with a question mark: raising capital at an early stage is the road to success. So just wanted to know about your thoughts, because there's a lot of debate happening on the social media as well, that is it important to raise equity at a very early stage? And if it happens also, so the equity get diluted also. So can you throw some light on this particular topic, that what you want to convey with this particular line?
Sure, why not? So guys, probably I have been raising funds for over a decade and investing in startups worldwide, not only in India. So I would love to give one of the live example that happened in last March. So we do an investor roundtable every country. I forgot to mention I'm founder of World Leader Summit, which is a 97 countries chapter. So in my board, I have got people like Craig Johnston, Steve, lot many other big personalities. I really don't want to throw names. So what happened in Dubai in last March, one of the company based out of Moldova, they wanted to raise capital. And they had a very unique brick and mortar business. They had only a gas station, it's basically a well pump. And along with that, they had a cafe and a bookstore. And they wanted to do it in entire Europe. Wanted to raise capital. It was not at all very, very attractive. So we wanted to understand whether these founders have actual passion, clicked. Whether they're inside that business, clicked. Are they serious? Yes. Every parameter was amazing. But somehow, the way they wanted to raise the capital, it doesn't have that X factor. So what we did, we converted that entire business into an ecosystem utilizing blockchain. So when you enter into that gas station, the AI-based camera will detect and understand you. It will understand how much gas you usually consume almost every week or maybe in a day. And it will understand your appetite, what kind of food you have, and what kind of books you read. It's a very common European culture, but that created an entire ecosystem. And they raised fund on the top of that ecosystem instead of the traditional brick and mortar model. So what we learn in this, in some point of time, investors need a complete different kind of story which is probably not there in their existing business. And I would love to share something. They wanted to raise X amount of capital. After negotiation, it happened something minus with the same kind of equity sharing that they wanted to do. So whatever you're reading in your books, I'm sorry for this statement, it doesn't apply in real life. All happens in negotiation table. यार बियर पीते हुए बोलेंगे यार चलो यार समझ रहा हो यार 20% चल बात करते हैं 40 में दे दे. Right? So these things happen in real life. Whatever we will be discussing, to be very, very honest, when you go to the real life, you need to understand how to negotiate and are you open to make your company investor ready or not. There is a big difference between running a company and creating an investor ready company. That's it. And the reason I made that statement with a question mark, when you're in the early stage of your journey, entrepreneurial journey, you need to understand whether you are open to have someone in your company who will be saying, okay, don't do this and don't do that, or probably you should do like this. It's just like finding a best girlfriend or boyfriend, which is unknown, completely unknown. So if you are ready for that, I think that's one of the best way you should handshake with the investors.
Got your point, Arjit. How you can say like there are examples of Zerodha also, which are today also running with a bootstrap business, and other firms also, which are not going for this model of diluting the equity. Versus now we have seen that startups are coming, which are diluting their equity at a very going to at an early stage of seed A round also, or not as an angel, but going for a round. Previously, they were going after B or after C round, but now the trends have shifted and they are going for that angel investment round or seed A round, because when the startups actually come to them, the equity is already diluted a lot. And even when they think that startup, yes, it is an investable business, they're not able to do it. So can you throw some light on it, like how it is happening and what do you feel about that?
Well, it's just nothing personal in it. But what I feel like, if you are creating a company, you should be able to create a legacy instead of create a company just to take an exit. I'm really sorry for this statement. That's what I firmly believe in. So whatever is happening at the moment in India, we need to understand India is a very rich country. It's a myth. We feel that India is poor. Yeah. So there are a lot of money which is there on the table at the moment. And if there is someone who is going to disrupt the market, the mindset of investor is, if I can grab it earlier, probably the valuation will really, really grow and I can also make money. Hope we all understand that no investor will actually invest money philanthropically. They want to multiply their money, right? So that's the ball game that is happening at the moment, and it is good. It is actually good. In earlier times, in normal college, when a startup says that, sir, I have built this product, my MVP is ready, but I need money to probably do something, start something. Or maybe a startup is saying that we have a group of great people and the background is really, really cool, but we need money to at least create our product. Earlier days, it was not there. I mean, there was no person who is saying that, okay, fine, beta aja, I'll give you some money. It's happening nowadays because investors are becoming smart. As Gaurav said, we have registered and unregistered probably thousands of individual angel investors who are joining the angel syndicates as well as investing through the VC funds. You'll probably get a shock. Many companies who are not from India, they have good amount of money, they want to invest in India. They need a route so that they can invest through some fund. And that is happening because the world understood we Indians are making the disruption. And that's one of the sole reason, coming back to the answer of your question, these kind of overvaluation is happening, which will settle down very, very soon.
On the valuations, guys, just be realistic about it now, because the valuations are exaggerated at this point in time. COVID basically cut everybody's risk-taking appetite, right? So people started investing in companies that they already knew were good, or they'd already committed to at some point in time because they knew that they're not going to get funds from elsewhere. And they're the safest places to park money for people who had deployment pressure. That's why you had this spike in number of unicorns. It's not that suddenly India became, oh, wow, look, right? On the flip side, there also was an element of accelerated digital adoption, right? Which happened because of COVID, right? So both those things happened simultaneously, but there was no magic behind so many unicorns suddenly being born. It was basically investment cycle pressures, right? These are realities of late stage investment critical businesses, right? So just the same way, every fund has a life, every fund has a committed deployment phase, right? So some of the theory you read will actually be useful. So if your professors are here, please let them know that, right? But the rest of it, I mean, yes, I agree with him on. And if you can go to accelerators, I mean, they're the best places, yeah. They'll give you a little money, they'll give you a structured program, they'll help you, teach you the verbiage. So you guys are generally more experienced. Just keep in mind that when an investor sits across the table and he sees you haven't put skin in the game, right? That's not convincing at all, because we are riding your skill, right? And if you have no skin in the game, and when I say skin in the game, that means you aren't invested absolutely to the max of your capability and your friends and family, right? That means your izzat is on the line just as much as my money, right? It cannot be that you come to me, I have an idea, will you put money behind it? Of course, here, take the check, go away. Oh, sorry, it's not working. Doesn't happen, right? It has to hurt both parties if you walk away, right? And that's the reason I'm saying this again and again. Please do not think the right way necessarily is to raise funds. Yashaswita is an example right in front of you of building a cash sensible, viable business, right? So there are several models to building very profitable, successful companies, right? I mean,
I'll be adding something with this, Gaurav. Can I? Yeah. If you remember, in old days, in villages, you have some kind of great concept and you are a trusted person. The person with money, they usually handshake with that young chap. In today's time, in districts, in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, this is the exact thing happening. I'm not sure how many of you know that. For an example, maybe a 35-year-old person, I've got some family fund, wanted to venture into a cool stuff, which is maybe machine learning, right? And there is a guy who is trusted enough, got that entire plan sorted out, how he is going to make some business out of it, got the team, everything is sorted, but don't have money. The best kind of matchmaking is happening over there. That's one of the core reason. Maybe it is not there in media because they don't need any kind of hype. They just want to do their own work, right? Sometimes overhyping may kill the cat, but the figure and the facts that you are actually watching at the moment. So I serve as a jury for National Startup Award. We have seen several startups coming and applying who are from completely different kind of background and coming from tier 3 cities out of nothing, nowhere. They have somehow raised funds, which doesn't have any kind of science as well. But India as a structure, I think this is the thing that we need in tier 3 and tier 2 cities. We can't expect usual management science to go there and then teach them all the IRR or maybe EBTA or any other fancy terms. They rely on the person, betting on a person. Now we call it as a team or whatever it is. And these guys are actually making money. And I completely want to echo with Gaurav's point that if you're not putting your skin in the game, it's not going to happen. There are a lot of pitch that we usually get is like, if we get money, we will be starting this. So our question usually comes that how much money you want to put or maybe how much you have done. Well, it's not going to happen. Like any investor will actually come and say that, okay, guys, you have got amazing idea and here is the check, until unless it's a product which can be patentable or you have already done that. Abhijit.
Yeah, just to add, there are two types of, running a business. Either you grow 20% IRR standard every year, and then you don't need external fund. If you're happy with it, that also makes you a millionaire. So you don't need to go and raise funds. There is another approach where you have to grow 100% IRR, then you need external fund. So both type of entrepreneurships are okay. There is nothing wrong or right with any approach. If you want external fund, then you have to dilute on the question of valuation. So when the question of valuation comes, however smart product you have built, if you're not able to communicate to me or him in 5 minutes, I don't have time for you for more than 5 minutes in my first meeting, right? Whether you get the second meeting or not, it's totally up to you, right? So that's where the smartness and the storytelling comes. Doesn't matter what you're building, you build a rocket also, very good working. But if you're not able to communicate to me in 5 minutes how good the rocket is, how would I know what the rocket engine is and technicality is, right? So the storytelling, as Arijit said, and everyone, that is where the whole picture is. The first, how do you get the second meeting with us? That's important. If you can get it, you're maybe 80% through. You know, people used to, if you crack the IIT, you are through, right? So cracking the IIT is the tough part. So here getting the first meeting is the toughest part in raising funds. Rest is you'll manage.
Thank you, Abhijit. The right communication, the right product.
Debt is not lucrative at all. Doesn't give me enough.
There are tons of government programs around debt at this point in time, but typically they're up to 10 lakhs is available without collateral. For women entrepreneurs, I think they go up to something like 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs. And with collateral, they're willing to go up to 1 crore for relatively younger startups. Personally, I think that's a great route. Now that they've also cleaned up some of the bankruptcy pieces. I think it's a great route as well, but they will look for something. In reality, in practical terms, you go talk to your medical local branch and they'll say, what? Which scheme? We've never heard of it. I don't know. It's done centrally out of one branch, which you've never heard of, right? So practically there's debt available to startups now. The good news is that you don't need to show a 5-year track record, right? You don't necessarily need to be profitable anymore, but you will need to show adequate inventory. You will need to show something which you can hold as collateral, or you'll have to hold something of yours as collateral with the bank from a practical perspective. If the Modi government is able to change things more than lip service, that we'll see. But at least they've got them to lip service. Let's see where it goes from here, right? But debt is a great route if you're confident in your business. I see no good reason why you shouldn't. It's the cheapest. You guys have already started. Yes. Cheapest form and all that good stuff, huh?
Yeah. That one-liner is like debt is the easiest and cheapest form of investment.
Easiest nahi hai, cheapest.
Cheapest to bola gaya hai. Easiest to nahi hai, but yeah, equities.
But there is a new vehicle now. I am not sure if you guys have revenue-based funding. That's quite picking up now. So you can fund your business as per your discounted future revenue. That can be structured equity plus zero equity or equity plus return profit.
That's extremely short term.
Yeah, obviously
3 months, 6 months kind of time frame. So it doesn't really work for really early stage.
Only
right. And
investors you need to are the fool enough who bet our money on you. So investors are also taking huge risks. Boss, don't underestimate the investors. They take a lot of your entrepreneur's risk on us, on ourselves, so that you can make 100x. So we tomorrow make 100x. But to make that 100x, we have to bet on 100.
You know, one thing I'd like to say, which is not a question here, right? I mean, if you think about it today, right, more people die of obesity than famine. This is the first time in our history that it's true, right? I mean, just think of it like that, right? We keep thinking of poverty and so on and so forth, but gradually, despite everything, we have lifted the world out of that extreme poverty that we were used to. And the implication of that in something like India is the fact that today you guys are sitting here thinking of how to become entrepreneurs because you want to take moonshots. When we were growing up, right? If we didn't have a job, you know, and I think Deepti said that, right? If we didn't have a job, right, with a prestigious company, right? Nobody would want to give their bloody daughter to you that will gone, wo, dukandar, halwai. You know, literally, we were branded in that, necessarily in that this. No. Every respectable family needs a job. So there's a cultural side, there's a support ecosystem, and there's a professional ecosystem, all of which have come together, right? I think so that's all on the bright side. On the flip side, unfortunately, most of the entrepreneurs that we see are trying to reinvent the wheel again and again, right? There's so much that we can do around inclusiveness. I mean, people talked of building global. I'm sorry, I'm all for in India, right? For India. We've got 1.5 billion mouths to feed, right? We've got a shit ton of customers and depth. We're the 5th largest economy and will continue the fastest growing major economy, right? If you can't build a business in a market that you're currently present in, that you understand, that you're born into with the cultural nuances, right? What are you going to do outside, yeah? Right? If you can't convince your wife you need to go out for a drink, you're not going to start the biggest bar in the world. I promise you. Right? I mean, it's just a fact of life. Right? So please be realistic. This is home. Right? And there is a ton of opportunity at home. Solve the problems. Look at how the world is changing. Take one step ahead. Human needs haven't fundamentally changed. Right? But technology is transforming the way we're able to serve those needs. Right? Don't come up with this. I met a bunch of, in 2013-14, I met a bunch of IITians, 6 IIT Delhi graduates. Okay, I'm not going to name the startup. 6 IIT Delhi graduates together making a t-shirt printing company, customized t-shirts. And I told them, dudes, with your collective IQ of over 1,000, this is the best idea you could come up with, printing custom t-shirts.
Must be inspired from Inkfood. Inkfood got sold. There was IIT Bombay.
But
jokes apart.
But yeah, right. But that's the problem, right? We guys are constantly looking to do incremental ideas, right? There is a lot to be done, right? There's a lot of change happening, and India is an incredible place because change is happening at a disruptive pattern, right? Because we're leapfrogging technologies. Right? That didn't happen outside. They went from gradual adoption of each phase, right? We just went straight, where we keep leapfrogging pieces, right? So there is this huge opportunity that's going to emerge. Put your minds together, think of your experience, and come up with meaningful ideas. Please don't be flogging dead horses. That's my only one suggestion to this room of generally intelligent people, right? Please think intelligently. And when you talk to an investor, look at it from the other way around and say, would you ask your father to put money in it? It's a very whack way to look at it, right? But it's a very pragmatic way. Would your dad put money in it? Because an investor is going to be even more, what is this, right? When you see 1,000 proposals a month, right? And each one going to be the next unicorn, I promise you every investor is cynical. Just look at him.
5 minutes.
Just look at him. Right? Everybody becomes cynical. That's the truth of it. Okay. It's a function of the job. It's a function of just imagine if every 5 minutes someone came up to you and said, boss, I'm going to build you the next unicorn. Boss, I'm going to build you the next unicorn. After 3 days, what will happen to your brain? Right? That's what's happened to that guy for 7 years, 10 years. His mind is already toast unless you're able to bring something intelligent, which goes back to what he's saying. Right? And please treat it with that level of cynicism, that your pitch is going to be received with a certain degree of cynicism. Right? There are no better cynics than the people who love you most, who don't want to get into that space. Pitch to them. It makes a lot of sense. Trust me. Makes a lot of sense. Find your biggest cynics. Pitch to them who also are fond of you, right? Those kind of cynics, not the other types.
Kindly go in YouTube and put my name into it. You will find out there is an animated video of my life. I had to convince my father. It actually started 8:30 p.m. at night, went towards approximate 4 a.m. in the next morning, just to convince him that why I'm going to start my own company. And he's perfectly right. In those days, if you say that you are starting your own company and you're leaving engineering, you're joining economics and statistics and mathematics, which is not at all related to science, your parents used to, at least our parents used to say that you're not going to do anything in your life. So convincing your parent is, of course, the first job that you need to do. Coming back to that, I would love to add one single point. I'm sorry, moderator. If you guys are smart enough, you need to understand what you're eating, what you had in your lunch today.
छोले कुलचे.
छोले कुलचा. छोले कहाँ से आए? पेस्टिसाइड कितना है? I'm serious. Is it organic? Now, the problem is we have billion as a population. You need to feed everyone. There is a statement that without utilizing those kind of pesticides, you cannot mass produce those amount of food. Completely wrong. I personally made scientists who are doing amazing work. You can actually faster this process utilizing complete organic method. It's a huge market. यार नीम से दातुन करते थे, कोलगेट आया, बोला कि यार फेंक दो, तुम लोग सब सैवेज हो, कुछ नहीं करते हो, फिर कोलगेट के अंदर नमक है, नीम भी है, कोयला भी है ना? So you need to understand who we are. You need to understand what exactly you need. And there is a big need that is happening in India. People are looking for healthy food rather than junk foods. So if you can disrupt that in whatever way, technology would become a catalyst, but it's a big market. Think of it.
Thank you for the long discussion where multiple points are even, you also added a point. So one thing which was very important, because some of the batchmates also came to me and said that there is a lot of debate happening, and the valuation game which is happening, everyone wants to be a unicorn. As you mentioned also, in 2021 itself, there are more number of unicorns. If I consider the whole decade from 2010 to 2020. So you also said that don't underestimate your investors, but founders say that our valuation is getting, not what we deserve or what we wanted. So how this valuation is achieved? Like, because theory wise, we have understood that there are different methods, like discount cash flow method is there, where growth rates are erratic and it never works. We understand that. Then there is relative valuation, the trading multiples, and now we have also scorecard method and different. So how do you arrive at those valuation financially or technically? And then how this, conflicts which happen between an investor and the founder, and then you came on a number? Because this has been observed by all of us, even in the Shark Tank, which all of us watch also, and there is a debate that how these valuation numbers are coming. There it just the sales and 2-3 factors, and they consider and they say ki aapki valuation ye honi chahiye. So what are your thoughts on it?
So, okay, so, valuation it's probably the most controversial and probably the most art form based piece of this entire space, right? Fundamentally, when you look at valuation as a round, right, individual round, as a thumb rule, you don't want to give more than 25%. पहले तो वो lock कर दो, right? वो तो आपका सबसे पहले एक तरफी वो lock हो गया, उससे ज्यादा कोई मांग रहा है तो वो आपका इज्जत नहीं दे रहा. Let's put it politely like that, right? So let's leave it at that. But 25% is pretty much your cap, right? Do not give more than that, no matter who the investor. The second part of it comes as to what is the right value. Now, valuation depends from model to model. Valuation is a fundamental of multiple things, your potential being one of them, but your total capital requirement in the model as a second, right? The competitive scenario for that same company as a third, the total investment in that industry that is as a fourth. So there are so many, and I can go on and on and on, right? There are multiple factors. I think as a founder, and I've been on both sides of the table, right? Being a founder, what I look for is this money enough to get me to my next significant milestone where I can create an adequate jump in my valuation to raise my next round? I don't want to raise my next round flat, right? No guy will give me extra cushion for that without me compromising my ceiling on what I'm willing to sell in terms of my cap table, right? So I need to find that balance. And it'll depend from model to model. A SaaS business is not as capital hungry, right? So a SaaS business will take its own sweet time. An e-com business is tremendously capital hungry.
It is.
Right? So if you're going to do rounds of 200 million in an e-com business, you can't have a valuation that's less than 200. No, otherwise that you'll own the whole company instantly. Right? So when you see these unicorns and this and that, just keep in mind that at the end of the day, what the founder owns, right? Deep owned less than 5% of MMT when he finally sold. Right? So for all of the fancy numbers of MMT's net worth, right? His actual income that he earned out of it was just 5% of that $600-700 million valuation. right? Now, if you look at some other founder like a Sandeep Bhikchandani who built something as Naukri and still owns 60% of it, who's better off? Right? So please don't get obsessed with these unicorn banana hai concepts, right? Unicorn banana hai often happens because of the model you're picking, right? Now, something like an Uber is a unicorn because it needs taxis, damn it. Right? If you didn't know, Uber owns over 15,000 cabs in India alone.
Yes.
Right? 15,000 cabs are worth a lot of money. At one point in time, I had an offer from them to join them as CEO of their leasing company. Right? So it's not a small this thing, right? Ola owns more than that. Ola owns almost 25, 30,000 vertical cabs. Right? It's a shit ton of vertical capital. Right? So be realistic about this, right? So don't get obsessed with valuations. And same way, you look at this one's first business, Broom founder. Kya naam hai uska? Sandeep Agarwal. Right? Shopclues was a unicorn, not a unicorn anymore. Yes. Snapdeal was a unicorn, not a unicorn anymore. David's Bridal on the global platform was a unicorn 3 times. 3 times they became a unicorn and 3 times they went bankrupt. Right? I can give you hundreds of examples. Unicorn, not unicorn, should not be your typical this thing. Right? Sensible fundraising, sensible cap table, vertical dilution, right? Which gets you to your next logical phase, right? Where you figure out that, okay, this is the set of metrics that's going to get me my next raise and my next significant jump in valuation, right? That's the cash flow path you need to follow. That's the money you need to raise. And on the flip side, I've told you how much you're going to give away for that round. Based on the other competitive pressures, it might be 25, it might be 14, it might be 20, right? That's a function of negotiation, how much the industry is already inundated. If you want to get into e-com today, nobody will touch it unless he owns a significant portion. Right? Because he's going to say you're going to need 10 rounds of funding. If I'm taking 30% also today, after 10 rounds, I'm down to 3. Not exactly, but point being, something like that. Yeah. Right? So these things are an art. Do you have something to add to that?
I can give a portfolio example of mine. The valuation can be very varying. I'll give you 2 companies in EV space where we have invested. One company which is making petrol to EV engine retro space, heavy product driven, 2 years in making. Now that company raised their first round at 18 crore valuation without even a single product out, just on the product. Next round at 36 crore valuation without even a single product out. Now they have some 100 bikes out and now they're raising at 150 crore. Still revenue very minimal, right? So there is no logic, right? It's illogical, right? There is no money. Which model will you build? They're at 150 crore right now. Another company which is an EV marketplace, which is aggregating all the EVs for various B2B business, sustainable revenue, I think close to about 50 lakhs now per month. And they raised about at 40 crore valuation right now, a little smaller round, right? So if you see the logic, there is no logic, no maths or no science or no what you have read works, right? There's no revenue and that person is sitting at 150 crore. There is substantial revenue and the person is only raising at 40 crore, right? So valuation is very flexible, up, down. So unicorn, as Gaurav said, it's very inflated. VCs have to also market, right? Otherwise, how will they get the next fund who will invest? So if they won't up the valuation, if they won't say, I like the business so much that you also come and invest. So then if Matrix says, boss, I am valuating at 100 million, then only Sequoia will come, oh, 100 million, boss, I like this. I will do 500 million. So it's again a marketing game, boss. So make money for yourself. That should be the priority. Then you will make money for us.
And I just want to add to that, that at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. Right? A lot of people have told you it's a tough lifestyle, right? But it gives you its ups and downs, right? The moment you raise money from someone else, you also end up compromising that lifestyle to a corporate board. right? So yes, you're in the wealth creation zone that you were earlier, but you also lose that lifestyle element where you have that additional flexibility. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there is a corporate accountability and a fiduciary responsibility to the third person's money, right? The moment I pick up money from a Tom, Dick, Harry investor, he has the ability to kick me out of my own company, right? Please be completely aware of the fact that he has minority clauses, and if he's unhappy with your performance, the CEO of the company can kick you out or force you to buy him out, right? Right. No, I'm actually saying that. I'm just saying, I just made the opposite.
Actually,
I haven't
just
been very
made the
convincing,
opposite, yeah.
clearly. Right? So just remember, at the end of the day, someone had mentioned this on an earlier panel, chase happiness, chase well-being, chase adequate wealth, right? Do not get obsessed with any one track. Just imagine if only your right bicep kept growing and the rest of you kept falling in the other direction. Would you think that person is going to be attractive? No. You want, it has to be holistic, right? So when you think of this, right, when you think of entrepreneurship, when you think of fundraising, when you think of entrepreneurship as a lifestyle, please remember, keep it balanced, keep it sensible. Skin in the game is necessary, whether you're going your own money or someone else's money, right? And use someone else's money as an accelerator at the right time, rather than try and use that as the formula to get off the ground. If your idea doesn't have the beans to get off the ground in the first place, right, something is wrong. Right? I had the former head of Yahoo marketing come to me with a sales idea which she'd been running for a bit, right? And she said, but Gaurav, I haven't really started marketing. And I said, I'm sorry, why? Why haven't you been thinking about it as if it's your own business? Why are you waiting for an investor to put in money to figure out how to market? How is that a justifiable excuse at any point in time? And this is a senior corporate professional. Senior corporate professional, right? So always remember these basics. Baki is all with the toss of the coin.
So as you, it's not in the part of my question list, but you as discussed about the last panel thing, just wanted to ask your views as a combined. Do you really think that what they were discussing in the last panel, there are biases around it with the gender part? Like when you invest in a company or founders, is it really easy for the male founders to raise money versus female founders? Do you have those biases around it, or the industry accept? Again, as you mentioned, we just look for the founders. Just wanted to hear from you guys before it was getting discussed.
Before Me Too or after Me Too?
So Ajit, you can add something.
The company I was giving example, they actually raised $350 million, and they had two co-founders who are female and one co-founder as male. To be very honest, there is nothing called if you have female or maybe if you have male, you can raise better funds. It completely depends on how you're making your business. Well, in my words, maybe I can share within 3 minutes what I call as entrepreneurship. For me, entrepreneurship is more about riding a tiger. It's not about running any business. When you start thinking of creating a business, it is just a small cup that you adopt. You feed it with milk. It is now sweet. It is just drinking milk. Eventually, you have an idea that it will grow big and you will ride on the top of it. Now you can't stop. If you stop and if you don't feed it, it is going to kill you, or you have to kill it. So if you've started this journey, it's a never-ending journey. You need to run. You need to continue. You need to understand how to feed the raw meat. And that raw meat is now money. So this money part, you need to understand how to keep a balance. Overfeeding might kill the tiger. Underfeeding might kill you. So when you're raising fund, you need to understand from whom you are getting money, from where you're bringing this money, and whose money, and why you need that in which point of time. In my opinion, when we invest in the stage where probably the company started. Maybe they are not profitable, we don't care, but at least there is some kind of traction, which means you guys are serious. Or this product is completely not there in the world. It is patentable and you have got that rights, maybe from some university, and maybe as a group, we can grow it. We did that in US in one of the startup. Amazing guy, ex-banker, out of passion, he started the business, is completely into deep tech technology, wanted to create a product. We had a discussion, you won't believe, for completely 1 year long. After that, we took our decision. So for us, at least for me, fundraising is not that, short-term goal. It takes time. I hope that I killed 3 minutes.
As far as women founders, all the women in the room, right? Honestly, we're gender neutral, completely gender neutral, right? Ironically, we haven't invested in money, women with the women founded businesses, but we are a woman founded business, right? So, so that's the irony of it. But it's not because of, there's no good reason for it. Will you face some sort of discrimination at some point in time in your career? Yes, you will. That's the honest truth. I think when you have your first baby is the first time and hopefully the last time you will face discrimination, but you will face it at that point in time, because suddenly that same dedicated professional is going through a transformational journey through which a lot of women actually have opted to take a turn. So it's not because of men, it's because of the data that's preceding the actions of other women that is causing the question in people's mind. But after your first baby, if any boss shows any medical this thing, please take him to Me Too or whatever else, or your HR or anywhere else, right? And shame the hell out of him, right? But yes, when you have your first baby, if your investor is not nervous about it, right? Or your boss is not nervous about it, right? Think of it like this. All of you have worked, right? How many people in sales? Has anybody worked in sales before? Can you imagine having a zonal sales head who goes on leave for 4 months? That's the challenge that your boss is facing. Can you imagine a CEO missing for 3 months? Right? That's not going to happen, right? In reality, most committed entrepreneurs don't do that. They don't vanish for 3 months, right? My wife was working right up to the last day, right? Literally. And after 3 days or 1 week, she was back on her BlackBerry at that point in time, at the time of her first baby, right? That's the simple truth. That was her nature. That was her drive, right? So trust me, most people will not be biased against women founders. Women have done enough, founded enough good businesses and shown adequate promise in every walk of life, that if you think that if your boss sees that drive, and it's not just women, it's also guys, for the record. So if we think a guy is not adequately committed to a role, right, will we or will we not let him go? It's a straight decision as a boss, right? If you think that someone is not committed, right, he's going to hinder the growth of the company, right? Now, the difference is that in the same scenario, most bosses are expected to accommodate maternity, and most bosses are ill-equipped to accommodate the first maternity because of the uncertainty around it. Right? That's the simple truth. So you will face discrimination at that point in time, not discrimination, but at least a discriminatory view at that point in time. And it's your job just as much to assure them of your professionalism, so you're never questioned again in your life. That's my honest experience, right? It's not an opinion, it's my honest experience.
So I think gender is not I've not seen anywhere, but investors are more single founder averse, gender agnostic, doesn't matter. Single founder is a big no, whether male or female doesn't matter, because as if some emergency comes and you have to go out for 6 months, who is going to run the company? It's the same for male or female. I don't think problems are everywhere for it's gender bias. There's no gender bias there. And I think second is, I think nowadays funds are more looking for even investors. EQ is coming more into picture, emotional quotient in addition to IQ. So because the the current customer is heavily EQ driven, right? The young generation is not IQ driven. It's so a lot of these new factors are coming on when we consider founders, how well they're able to manage these challenging situations. Gender, though, I have not seen at all in so many years of my career. I can bet you, I have not seen investor going finicky because you are a female founder. If Shraddha Sharma can do it, anyone can do it, right? She's a single founder.
I have, and I've seen it at a top global fund who had invested in us. I'm not going to take the name, but somebody actually walked up to my wife and said, "Why haven't you declared your pregnancy to the board?" She said, "How the fuck is it your business?" She said, "I've had a baby before. How is it your business? You invested in me when I already had one child." Right? And we screamed and shouted about it. Right? So it is not that it will not happen. I'm telling you that I've seen it in my own experience. And this is like a leading global fund, multi-billion-dollar fund. Right? Somebody who's been educated in the West, ran his startup in the West, and was sitting on our board.
For a lady, pregnancy and all of that is something that is stated. But for men, I have seen founders who was a single son, his father passed. The business shut down. Yeah. I mean, whatever we PPT, whatever we want that. So I think gender or not, it's all a function of there are certain risks. I'm putting my money in it. How do I mitigate?
No, you're completely right. And I am only saying that at some point in time, there is also a bias, right? And that bias comes particularly at that point in time. And once in your life, because it brings you to a strange point where data says that people diverge. There is a legacy to it. But after that, if someone questions it for a second time, that is entirely unacceptable as a bias because there is data that you are in this half and not that.
Well, sometimes I feel that we all are becoming machine. I would love to ask these people who feel that things cannot be done by a woman and they need to take a break for 3 months. Check Malamma IR from southern part of India or maybe Evgenia from Ukraine. The way they run it, they have a CEO who is a female. Okay, let me make it very, very light. I'm sure that you all have mom, father, daughter, sister, right? What happens in family if somebody got pregnant? Others take control of that part. Women usually teach that how to do it. If you're not a cook, you become cook. Yeah. If you're taking care of your maybe local marketing and all, then definitely the other roles comes around. This is what exactly is happening in a proper company. I'm so sorry about this statement. People who understand how to create leadership in their company, they usually create such kind of situation where the top management, if you have a CEO, she is a female, definitely they will create an alternative person who can actually take care of the situation during that particular time period. And that is happening. And those companies are sustaining. Those companies are doing actually absolutely great. I'm really sorry if that happened with you, Gaurav, but I'm not sure. I have seen funds, I have seen people who nowadays are becoming more and more human rather than saying that, hey, we are corporate. And there is a taboo. If you're corporate, if you're maybe running a corporate culture, then there is no emotion. I'm sorry. Nowadays, it's not that trend. If you look at the best companies in the world, they understand human as human they are. And that's how you can run a corporate proper organization rather than saying that whatever hashtag you want to create.
For the fun of counseling, if the world was really operating the way it did, we wouldn't have a Madoff habit.
Agree.
Bernie Madoff habit. Right? So I think Gaurav's point is that we have all kinds of people, but at the end of the day, the resilience and the passion that we all put is probably the tilting point, because I think it's a matter of ethics, at least in India. That's been my view. Because the person who's giving the money thinks that they're God,
Agree?
Once the entrepreneur is successful, the entrepreneur takes it on.
Yeah.
And actually give direction for it. Actually, the path.
Once
And
an
look,
entrepreneur
who is
become a
sitting
1,000
down,
crore,
who is making this statement, the woman, right? Because you can tell that because you understand this. In my point of view, a woman is universe herself. You understand more the world rather than us men. Trust me.
So there has to be an acknowledgement that there is balance. But I'm saying the conversation has to go a little ahead of just not recognizing there's balance, but how do you deal with it? And coming back to the investment, I mean, I was sharing with you, my fundamental question, apart from the models and everything, is can I look at this guy every quarter and report with it? Honestly, because the decision is at both ends. Right? And if I can't handle a half an hour meeting, I don't want your money at the end. Irrespective of whatever sweet cooking is, right? So your ability to walk away is as important as your ability to say yes. And by that point, we are gender neutral, but for gender that's not. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take away, but it's
No, it's a really good point. It's a really good point.
So considering the interest of time, just one last thing. Just one last thing. Yeah.
Like brave man.
One last thing. And I don't know, like I should have stuck to the list of questions, and rather than being inquisitive and asking that what happened in the last panel, and then out of the blue I came with this question. Yeah, but it was a great discussion. Yeah. So just one thing. Sitting there will be some entrepreneurs which will be coming in the next 3-5 years. But just one word or one sentence, final advice or a word of caution to the upcoming founders. What they should do or keep in mind if they think that yes, they have an idea, and yes, that idea is it can be converted to $1 billion business. Just one word of advice or caution to the.
Every great business is built on an understanding of an industry, like the back of your hand, and an insight which gives you a financial impact somewhere, right? Take any great business and think of how it has altered the value chain in that industry, right? Unless you're able to have an impact on people's wallets, especially in India, or on their minds, right? For the woke crowd and so on and so forth, for the 1%ers, for people if you look, there's a business model for the 1%ers as well, right? Unless you can have an impact on their wallet or on their wokeness, right? It is going to be extremely difficult to build a sustainable, good business, right? So please keep that in mind. Have expertise, knowledge about what you want to disrupt, right?
So entrepreneurship is very addictive. I've never seen anyone got into it and coming out of it, going back to job, very rare. So before you get into it, I have only 3 advices, because you will never be able to get out of it. So that's why I'm telling. First, your kitchen should be always running, whether you are earning or not. Doesn't matter. Your father is paying, your wife is paying, your mother is paying. Somebody has to pay for your kitchen, because if you can't sustain, you can't run business. Second is, you have to figure out the problem. The problem is very important. Everyone in all the panels, they have, without problem, there is no entrepreneurship. Gone are the doors that, IIT graduates come out of IIT. Okay, I like the business in US. I am good at coding. I'll make a copy and it'll work. That's not going to work anymore. Third is, I would say, figure out a way to raise money. If you want to raise money only for expansion, not for running your cash flows. If you start raising money for your cash flows, boss, you're dead anyways. So, shut the company and go back to job. So these are the 3 pointers. I'm sure if you keep it, maybe some of you will raise money from us also. Come to us. We keep asking entrepreneurs, come to us. Actually, it's tougher for us than you, because finding a good entrepreneur is much tougher a challenge for us than you starting a business. We are doing a harder job.
Sir, sir, in the interest of time, we'll have to move ahead. And
Just last words, Udit,
yes,
please.
that's what.
यार लास्ट वर्ड मेरे से मत पूछो मेरा लास्ट वर्ड अभी मैं नहीं वाला हूँ यार
Final.
Okay, very quick and brief. If you really think that this is your time to start your business, then only start. Don't start your business because somebody is starting. Second point, come out of your comfort zone. I'm so sorry about this statement. If you are comfortable, whatever you're doing, and feel that your comfort zone will probably ask you to do a lot of calculative risk, there is nothing called calculative risk. Boss, you need to take a risk. Very simple. This is a management term, calculative risk. Third one, in business, everything is good. Everything is good. I'll give you a small tips. Maybe you will feel I'm a monk or something. Try to learn how to become water. You know the meaning? Become a best reflection. If somebody is saying that he or she is ugly, then you should have that reflection in your mind. Try to be adaptive. Try to have each and every color that life gives you. Try to be happy. If you're not happy, you're not going to build any business. Create great team. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to understand how to make your team work. A business runs on team, not on employees. And be a great CEO. This is an interesting point. Full form of CEO? Cash Extraction Officer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
English is a funny word, I'll say. 26 letters, you play with it.
Sir, along the lines of you be water, I think we've all heard a similar statement in TVF pictures. To beh ja.
You know, Jeetu is also from IIT Bombay.
Yeah, Jeetu
Yes,
is
sir,
from.
I am aware.
And just one thing, we all talked about professors, and you all said that
I
we are.
have huge respect for
Yeah.
professors.
No, I'm just adding. So, Abhijit, one point when you said that EQ thing, na, trust me, our professor is sitting here. We had almost 3-4 classes on emotional intelligence and emotional quotient only. So one thing you said that yes, that is very important, and we all agree that we have studied in that.
He is sitting only because after so much of practicing about professors.
Sirs, ma'am, thank you for the very candid panel discussion. And now I would like to call Professor Sarangi to hand out the memento of appreciation to our panelists. We would like to call Mr. Arijit first to receive the memento of appreciation. Sir, this is for Mr. Abhijit. Mr. Gaurav, you're up next.
Yes, ma'am.
So we would also like to hand over the memento to our moderator, amazing moderator for today, Akash.
By the way, I must also give a disclaimer. I have not released the grades, so I don't know. I leave it to them.
Sarangi sir, we would like to hand you a bouquet for all the felicitation and the memento distribution that you've done today. Yeah, absolutely, sir. And we would like for you to come over and give the vote of thanks.
So, I would like to invite Anshu ma'am, and this time Sarangi sir would be on the opposite side, receiving a memento. And thank you so much. So please. Thank you so much, Sarangi sir, for all your learnings. And now I would like to invite Sarangi sir for the vote of thanks for the complete event and his concluding points.
Fascinating conversations from all the wonderful leaders, heroes of our society. Steve Blank's 4 Steps to Epiphany tells me, and that's one of the books that I would recommend to all my beloved students, as well as the fact that you all have probably gone through. This is a moment of epiphany that you were talking about. And much as you were saying that probably academic knowledge may not be required. Of course, you didn't say that. I'm saying world is a kind of storytelling competition. And what today I witnessed is it's all about whose story is winning, because we are absolutely enveloped in this entire globe in a competition called storytelling. And these heroes and heroines, if I can say so, sorry, ma'am, I'm not kind of, I'm gender agnostic. When I walk into this classroom, frankly speaking, I tell myself in my heart that they're all gender neutral to me, frankly speaking. I look at it that way, but I owe you a response as well as an apology why we created this all women panel today. I would tell you something which probably it touched my heart a long time ago. There was this protagonist, one of the finest Hollywood classics, and this protagonist is a music teacher and he teaches salsa. He's very passionate, he's extremely enthusiastic, extremely talented. And one fine day, the board of the trustees, they summon him to the meeting, and in the meeting he's given a pink slip saying you are no longer required because the juvenile delinquents that you're teaching salsa, I don't think they are finding you really relevant. And this man is all in tears. And suddenly one of the trustees, he stands up and tells this to the entire group of trustees, saying, you know what, tarry a while, think again. That's a bad thing you're doing. What this man has been doing for the last 1 year to this entire group of juvenile delinquents is unimaginably relevant, unimaginably incredibly successful. You know what he's done? He's taught these juvenile delinquents, without knowing that he was teaching, how to touch women with respect and dignity, and which constitutes 49 to 50% of our humanity. And in that aspect, he's the finest entrepreneur that we've created in this school. And then the story ends, of course, because the protagonist retains his job. So why I'm telling this story to extrapolate to what we did here is when my students, and I'm not defending them, of course, when they crafted this particular event, it was done with tremendous amount of intense emotion and of course tremendous aspiration, because the fact of the matter is we have girls, students, and somewhere I'm sure you left this particular conversation has definitely left all of them inspired to think that they are not far from being inferior to anyone. They're extremely superior, well armed, and to take on the challenges that would come their way. And this is what you've done, and without knowing that you've done. So to that extent, yes, sorry for the trauma and the torture that we extended to you by putting you as the member of the panel, and I owe it to all of them. And I owe my gratitude to all of them in absentia. They're not here. I think Miss Tandon, she's on her way back home. So is Miss Srivastav, and of course, Miss Pal. So I would convey it to them, all of them, but believe me, it's been terrific. It's been absolutely inspiring. Should I say it's been redemptive? your conversation. So as much as the last conversation where Mr. Kachru was there, I think Arijit, Avijit, all of them were there. And you have left all of us extremely inspired. And as a teacher, frankly speaking, without knowing, even if you're thinking that I was probably the tiny minority here, but yes, I really believe that you were ratifying teaching, you're ratifying knowledge transfer, you're ratifying the transaction that we call business management teaching. Because end of the day, we are preparing them without telling them or without we knowing that we are preparing them for a world which is filled with a lot of uncertainties and absolutely malicious and tremendous amount of tough uncertainties this world is throwing at them. And I'm pretty sure this today's conversation that we've had from all of you, the terrific, should I say, pearls of wisdom, if I can say so, without trying to qualify, have definitely made indelible marks in their hearts, in their minds. And we are so grateful to all of you for really spending all the valuable time that you have and making it here. And I think Saurav is not here. He's already way back home. And we really are expressing our gratitude to all of you. And we can't tell you how thankful we are to all of you. And this is a pretty happy day for me. And it really delights me all the more that I'm a teacher, and I'm a teacher to a group of people who would be crafting the destiny of our nation. And I'm sure, as I've been telling them, that it's a storytelling competition. And the startup world, in my estimation, is a big, powerful, extremely scientifically curated storytelling competition. And today, thank you for ratifying my long-held belief in my heart that I'm doing the right job as a teacher. And thanks a lot. And I got my certificate without you giving me the certificate. So thank you. And if I have left anything unsaid, I would really say I apologize. But it's been terrific. It's been wonderful. It was a privilege to have heard all of you. And most importantly, I think our students who are sitting there, they're not forced, frankly speaking. Of course, there's a mandate for them to sit here because there's a kind of stick that we hold. Yeah. So not about grades. I think the jobs are at stake. So yes, friends. But you know what? Since I also, frankly speaking, I'm getting bitten by the bug called entrepreneurship. And while having a conversation quite some time ago with a friend from France, she was a French person, and she was kind of a friend and also philosopher. And she asked me, with a smattering of Indian languages, she was asking me, Sunil, do you know what is the Indian equivalent of entrepreneurship? And that got me thinking. And I was thinking about that question all through, starting from the first moment when Mr. Warrior was here and talking about the wonderful ecosystem that his organization is building. And I could not answer, but the answers she gave me afterwards, I think I'm sharing with you. I was transfixed. She said, entrepreneurship has got Indian roots. I think I believe it's an urban myth. Entrepreneurship has got an Indian connection. Entrepreneurship is nothing else but entrepreneur. And that left me transfixed. What are you saying? Say it again. Yes, it's entrepreneur. And today, when you are hearing each one of them about their stories, the pain, the suffering, the pleasure, and of course, the moments of epiphany, the moments of delight, the moments that probably somebody asked, Oscar moment, I don't know, whatever it might mean, Aprajita asked Oscar moment. I think this whole, there's a bunch of, entrepreneur. It's all about the journey. So experience the journey, and money will definitely, I'm not saying that you should shun money. As a teacher, much as I would really be inclined to say that, but yes, I would not say that because I'm a business school teacher, and that's so bad. I might lose my job. So you have to love money, but please don't chase money. Chase a powerful, beautiful journey that probably all of these wonderful souls have told you. And I personally have been extremely inspired by this conversation. And thanks a lot for giving this opportunity to quote unquote give this vote of thanks. I'm not sure if that's sufficiently thanking them, but if I'm not sufficiently thanking all of you, please, I think I owe still a bit of gratitude to all of you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and have a terrific evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarangi sir, for these insightful words. And I'm extremely thankful to all the panelists who are sitting here and those who have left. On behalf of Innovate, PGDM, eCell, we are very much thankful and extremely thankful to all my host and co-hosts, Dilpreet, Aprajita, Shivank, Akash, Surbi, Urvashi, and anyone whom I've left. I would also like to thank our sponsors, Coffee Mug, SBI, Bolt, and Big FM for supporting us in organizing this startup conclave. The idea to conduct this conclave was to bring those thoughtful insights, those lessons, and I believe that we as a cohort of PGDM 2023 have gained some immense learning, some thoughtful insights, which are going to stay with us forever alive. And probably 5 years down the line, we will see a lot many entrepreneurs coming from this batch. And we will be thankful to all the panelists, all the speakers who are motivated in one or the other way. So thank you again. Thank you to all my classmates Thank you to all the classmates who have supported us in organizing this complete event without worrying about their attendance. They are sitting here patiently since morning, probably rushing here and there, having quick lunch and breakfast, tea. Now I would relax all of you. You can go to your rooms, complete your assignments, submissions, and we will catch up again very soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again to all the members who became part of this. And I would also like to extend my thanks to all the online participants over the Zoom. There are more than 1,500 registrations which we got for this complete conclave. We are seeing continuous students who are sitting here. And thank you for all the online participants as well to become a part of this complete conclave. And I hope you also learned some insight from this XLRI conclave. I would also request all the speakers to come here and would request complete Innovate team here, SMT, Triple C, Placecom, so that we can have a picture with all of you.